Broadcasting from a little island in Canada called Montreal to the world. IndieRockRadio.ca.
We got the greatest opening, I think.
I do. We do. We got one of the coolest things ever. Ever.
How are you, Bling?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Junior?
Well, you know me. Spring is here, and I'll tell you what. It's my, fishing and maybe golf this year. Now that I discovered the other day, by the way, you remember I said that I had frozen shoulder?
Okay.
And so I was doing some exercises the other day, and I can now check this out. I can now take both arms and put them above my head. So I might try some golf this year.
Well, you're gonna have to pay more attention to the squirrels in your yard who are chewing up your internet cables. That's for sure.
Incredible. Yeah, that wasn't fun last week, but anyway, so what I did is
it was fun. We had a great time, man. It was hilarious. Every single
you
time
had
we
your
went
little,
up, we were having our puns.
You had your little hiccup. You were in the black a little bit there for a bit and whatnot, and I don't know. Everybody seems to be having issues every now and again with the internet, so it just seems to happen. But so I'll tell you what I did. First off, okay, I'm on a brand new laptop because I give a shit about this program. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is right beside me is the Wi-Fi box.
Ooh, that close, huh?
So I've done everything to solve the issue at this point. If I go black tonight, then like I told you, it was about that CN guy there about fire the fuck me now.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, I remember that. You sent me that thing. That's hilarious. Anyway, so look at that, folks. You can't get more devotion than that. Junior's willing to sit next to his Wi-Fi box and literally get some radiation if he has to, just because he's so devoted to the
anything
show.
For the fans, Bling. Anything for the fans.
They're
all that matters.
So anyways, let's say hello, folks. Welcome. This is IndieRockRadio.ca. We are Indie Scene, and I'm Bling.
And I'm Junior there.
And you can find us each and every Thursday night from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for this wonderful show, supporting indies from here and around the world, and of course, bringing in some really cool special guests. Also, like we have tonight, we have a great show lined up.
Oh, I'm excited. Tell us all about this guest.
We've got Kenny Lee Lewis. Kenny Lee Lewis, if you don't know,
how did you get
living under a damn rock?
How did you get him with how busy that man has been and so on? But I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, there you go. Kenny Lee Lewis is the bassist for one of the coolest rock bands ever.
I know, man.
Hey, it makes you fly like an eagle. Okay, the puns are not going to work. So let's just get that works. Anyways, the Steve Miller Band. He is the guy behind all that rhythm of boom, 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 boom. I love it. So we're going to have him on at the beginning of the show here. He's sitting waiting in the green room. We're going to put him on in just a couple of minutes. And we also have another band.
Well, my boys, I'm excited about this because it's always in support of, and I'm excited. The boys in Barstool Confession, just outside of my backyard here in Ontario, recently got some really cool airplay. I did a festival with them last year, and so we'll talk about all those guys in a little bit too. Excited to have those guys on as well.
Yep. Also, I forgot to mention, this show is also replayed on Sunday nights live on IndieRockRadio.ca in an audio sense. You can catch that from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday nights when you're in your chill zone type of thing. And so switching it over for all the people who are tuning in right now, and it is Sunday night. Hello, it's Sunday night.
Hello, Sunday.
Oh, Sunday night.
It's like Back to the Future type thing. So listen, real quick before we bring a guest on, I have to ask because of the change. How was it out in Quebec in regards to the masks?
And so the masks?
Yes.
You guys, I heard, have gotten rid of your masks. Here, we're still wearing masks, but we pretty much everything else is. Our wonderful premier has given us the old, okay, I lift all the restrictions, and here's enough rope. Hang yourself if you want. I don't want to know all this, nothing more, because all I do is get the shit on and I'm tired. So you're on your own. You're on your own. It's a
Yeah.
new world. It's a new world.
I'm still gonna in the public events. I'm still gonna wear mine.
Yeah, no, I think it's an option, really. And you know what? People are still not feeling that safe or whatever. So yeah, it's your option, man. Do what you want to do.
Well,
Anyways, it's time. I think let's get him on, man.
I think
He's
so. Yeah,
sitting
let's
all
talk
warmed
emo.
up in the green room here, and we we don't even have condiments out for this poor guy. You know, some green room we have. You know,
I thought you
We're
did.
we're gonna get a call from his rider, from his management company. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Lee Lewis of his own right, and of course the Steve Miller Band.
Hi, Kenny.
Welcome to the
Hi.
show, Kenny.
Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Look at it's getting better. It's getting to be spring here. I'm not sure where you're out of there, Kenny, but I'm a bass fisherman addict, and so when the snow goes away, I get to feeling better and better. Remember the comic strip? Was it Birdman?
Absolutely.
Are you guys old enough? Okay, remember he got all his power
Not
from
me.
the sun. Yeah,
Absolutely. In fact, that's why I got to start planting in my vegetable garden today, because we started our little spring heat wave, and the plants are eager, and it's time to put them in the ground with new soil.
They are. So it's safe to say that you have a bit of a winter. Not to say exactly where you're living, Kenny, but it's spring is there. Is that what we're?
We don't have winter here; it just goes from late fall into spring.
That's it. Eh? Where are you? You're in California, I think, right?
The central California, halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Oh,
Nice. San Luis Obispo.
Oh,
and on the coast, and it's wine country. It's a mission town. It's American history going back to the conquistadors and the Spanish mission system, and Zorro and all that. I mean, just use your imagination. But that's
so you basically got those old, beautiful wooden houses with the big white balconies and all that stuff happening over there, and horses everywhere, and beaches.
Brick and stucco with tile roofs.
Stucco tile. There you go. All righty. So, Kenny, for the people, let's dig back all the way to the beginning or whatever. How the heck did you get involved in all this damn music and this whole music gig thing?
My dad was a swing nut, and he was 4F during World War II. So he and my mother built P-38 bombers over at Lockheed in Burbank during the war.
Oh, wow.
And so they were swing jitterbug folks, and they used to go on the weekends when they weren't assembling, war machinery and fight Hitler, and they were out doing swing dances. So he always had either a gramophone or later a nice stereo in the house. His record collection, and he was always playing, Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller, and even Count Basie and Duke Ellington. So I grew up in a house of swing music, listening to that. He was a wannabe musician. He had a drum set and a sax and a guitar. He just never did it professionally, but he always had it around the house. So I was always tinkering with them when I was real little. My brother and sister became folkies in the early 60s. They started singing and playing guitar for our family functions. And they were 6, 7 years older than me. So I was always in the corner sulking because I couldn't get involved. Get my hand around a guitar neck. So eventually I got a ukulele that I borrowed from my aunt.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Ukulele. And I started singing Black Negro spirituals at the age of 7 years.
Wow.
Oh, those are the best.
But Stephen Foster book, he spell the word river with 2 B's, river, Black Joe, and some Queen Low, Sweet Cherry. I was learning all these songs when I was 7, and that was fun. But then I kind of lost interest because it was only the Beach Boys and Frankie Valli and that kind of stuff going on. Pop. And so then eventually the English Invasion happened, and then that's when I started paying attention. When I, Yardbirds and the Kinks and the Stones, and eventually I got into the Beatles too. But I mean, the Beatles to me were not. I was more into the Beach Boys than I was the Beatles because I liked
Kenny.
Adventures, and the Shantays, and it's like I loved electric guitar lead playing as the thing of what music was all about. And so, that's what got me started. As I got back into it, I started with, learning Peter, Paul, and Mary and Brothers Four songs, just like my brother and sister did. But like I said, English Invasion hit. I immediately had to put down that nylon string guitar of my brother's and start for an electric guitar. And then,
what age would that would have been in backing you right up? What age was that to make you and all that inspiration that you're talking? You still see how much it in your spirit there, Kenny, how it still electrifies you. So what age was it that you said, okay, I'm going to pick up this instrument?
Okay, well, I was 12 and I had a paper route, so I had a little extra money, and so I started saving up for an electric guitar. I also had a $50 inheritance that I'd had in a bank account, which when I could go get it was
$50.
There was a co-signer in the account, and he took the money out to buy an outboard motor for his sailboat. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to put that in there." I thought, yeah, you will. And so I got another 50 on my route, and I went down to a pawn shop with him one day, and I said, "You got to put up your $50 now. That's my $50." Okay. Stole from me, and I put him on the spot, and I got down there and I bought a Japanese guitar and an amp. It was about 66, 67 around there.
All right, yeah.
Started, going and aping the Stones and the Monkees and, the Kinks and, all those people.
Do you still own that guitar?
No.
Funny about that.
You still own that amplifier?
No.
No.
They both traded for a 63 Strat.
What an upgrade.
63 Stratocaster when he went on Vietnam, which of course was raging at that time.
Of course. Yeah.
And, I wanted that guitar so bad because Clapton had just switched from his SG to, and it's 35 to a Strat, when he's
right.
Bell bottom blues and all that stuff. So I wanted a Strat. So this kid came by and I gave him everything in my room, which was that old Jap guitar, the Japanese amp, but the microphone, cables, even a couple speakers that I'd stolen from my junior high school,
I love your honesty.
And then I started giving him records, and he's going, "Okay, stop. That's enough. I got it." He literally had to go get his parents to get a station wagon to put everything in it just so I could get this goddamn Stratocaster.
Incredible.
And that's when it really, really opened up for me because it was a great guitar.
First song you ever learned on guitar, then, Kenny?
Hold on. Did the kid realize that Stratocaster was worth so much or whatever? Was he trying to highball you on the price or whatever? Or
well, I got the Strat. I was already learning the stuff, and I was already aping Hendrix on that Japanese guitar. Okay. But when I got the Strat, excuse me, I just had a hot curry. When I got that Strat, I was already pretty good, and so it just made me just go, pshh, and I got myself a black face basement amp, and cranked it all up to 10, and and I was doing freeform guitar like Chicago, Terry Kath, Hendrix. I was doing all the Jeff Beck stuff. I was just immediately jumping off into all that, and that was about 1967, 68, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So you were just getting right into the scene, literally, at that point, eh? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So how is it, though, that, and this is funny, most guitarists end up being bassists and stuff like that. It's always that way, and as my experience in the music industry, you guaranteed that if a guy plays bass, he was originally a guitarist.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I'm one of these rare people like Carol Kay. I don't know who that is, but she's a female studio bass player and guitarist.
I think she was with the Swampers, I think, or one of those, or the one in California.
True studio female bass and guitar player who played on every hit you've ever.
Pretty much, yeah. I saw the.
And so one of those people that plays both instruments equally well, and I'm one of those as well. I learned bass because I was in a band with a guy that wrote songs on guitar. And when he did his original material, he wanted to play guitar because it made it feel more harmonically in tune. And, he wrote the song on the guitar. So I would play the bass and back him up. And then when we would do the cover tunes, the Hendrix and the Jeff Beck and the Cream tunes, whatever, I'd go over to guitar and he'd play the bass behind me. And we just go back and forth all night long. And so I learned bass and guitar at the same time, at the same level, at the same time.
Wow. That's incredible.
I've had two different careers as a player and a career as a guitar player, and equally successful at both of them. I'm trying to sell a teaching product to TrueFire right now, which is the premier, teaching side. And I did an interview with them a couple weeks ago, and they were interested, but they're kind of trying to figure that out because it's an odd thing to teach bass and guitar at the same time, and show how they play and complement each other, and how one makes you better at the other. Because it does.
It does, definitely. Also, I was checking your background a bit or whatever. You did have your hands into some sort of inventing of certain products for guitars and stuff too, or something, eh?
Yeah, I was making amplifiers in 1974, which was an amplifier company called Delta that never really took off big, but it was an innovative amp. And people like Frank Zappa and who else was involved? Skunk Baxter, a friend of mine. Skunk Baxter. Anyway, again, it's a guy from the desert one day with this Stratocaster pickguard with pickups already wired into it, and his name was Dave Schechter. And Dave Schechter came in and he said, "Look, these Stratocasters are terrible. They're making right now. These CBS ones." He goes, "Rip all the guts out and just drop this in, and it'll immediately make the guitar a great guitar." And the company I was working for really thought it was a great idea. I came off as the quality control amplifier guy, and I ended up starting to wind pickups and build these parts with Dave Schechter. So in 1974, I started the parts business with Dave Schechter in a little one shop in Sherman Oaks, California.
Oh, geez.
On Van Nuys and Sherman Way. And we started the parts business in 1974.
It ain't such a small town after all. There's a lot of stuff that came out of Sherman Oaks, eh?
Yeah. And then
a lot of really cool history out of that place.
Yeah. And then, of course, Schechter got bought and sold a couple times, and now it's an Asian Korean product, but it's still one of the biggest guitar manufacturers around, and it's done very well. And they're still quality instruments.
That's it, eh? Okay, Junior.
Yeah, I just I like backing up in regards to that, because in regards to whenever a person never realizes when they're involved with projects like that, that when it takes off, you couldn't have imagined that from the young lad that was delivering newspapers years ago would have been able to be involved in projects such as that. I remember talking when I interviewed Ron Thal, Bumblefoot, if you're familiar with Ron. And you have to diversify in regards to a lot of things. So interesting projects to be able to take off. They're still going to this day, from what I gather.
If you want to be a diamond, you got to cut it from many different facets, because you're under pressure to deliver just like a diamond. And, if you have all those facets cut into your life as a professional musician, including manufacturing, selling, retailing, inventing, marketing, all that stuff, and playing and making records and writing songs and singing vocals and all that stuff, you might make a living.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it like for you at the beginning? The making the living part, was it a big struggle for you, knowing that you were focused, that you wanted to be in this music world, you wanted to be into this industry, but along the way, it was a lot of starving, a lot of wondering where the next dollar is coming from, and so on. What was it like for you back then?
It's happening right now, my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 years because of COVID.
Yes,
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Basically unemployed. I've had to reinvent myself, start playing clubs again around here. I teach.
Interesting.
Teaching websites. I'm writing. I write novels. My novel on Amazon. I'm making money from that. I've got CDs. People I work with. And everything. And I had to reinvent myself from touring because we haven't been touring. So, and Steve, he's got mailbox money, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Right. I do. I haven't never had a hit record with him. I played on a hit album, and I had the B side that I wrote of Abracadabra, and I made some house and studio back then. But I've never had a hit record that I wrote and put vocals on. Had done that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, that's it, eh? But that's it. Pretty much a lot of the tracks come back from the Fly Like an Eagle and all these other tracks, which were prior to Abracadabra.
But it's a struggle right now, so it never ends.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you make it, or per se, what a person would say, making it, you're making it. I mean, because you have to continue getting that, the cash flow. Because I have a pretty big place. This is my studio where I'm at now, where I do all my post production. I have house, it's not cheap. I'm living in California, but the news is this property just almost doubled in price.
Ooh,
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
silver lining. Eh?
The inflated real estate market in California and the United States in general.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people have had to this. I don't even like using the word, but you have to anyway with COVID and whatnot. Reinvent and from books. I kind of like that aspect, to be honest with you, Kenny. That people are given a chance to apply themselves in doing books to be able to tell stories of. When I talked to Pat Travers, we used the sentence "back in the day." It was very vital for all of us in the demographics that we are.
Yeah, I know Pat. Him and Les Dudek hang out with us in Florida all the time.
Yeah,
Funny cats. Now there's a couple of guys that have really struggled. I mean,
yeah.
they up here at one point, and now they're back down.
That's sort of what I'm saying. Yeah.
I know what they're going through because now I'm feeling it too.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people have felt that crush throughout the
amazing artists, great guitar players, singers, they're just fantastic. But that ain't enough.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So with that in mind, I guess of where you are, is there any sign of? It's just weird to say this, Kenny, but anyway, is there any light at the end of the tunnel with shows starting to open up? We're starting to get there, but what about where you are?
Well, I mean, right now the touring industry, the promoters and the venue people and everything, they're using COVID as an excuse not to pay the guarantees.
That's another story in itself, but go ahead. Sorry.
Even though people are showing up without masks and they're showing up in droves, they're just not wanting to pay the artists the same that they used to pay them.
Yeah.
And guess what? Steve don't need their money. So he just, you guys figure it out. When you want to pay me the same that you used to pay me, then I'll have a house. And now we booked about 15, 18 gigs for this summer, and we're adding more as we go. But those are the people that are ponying up because Steve's going, I'll just stay home. You guys are not going to jive me. The people are showing up. And the venues are opening up, and the promoters want to make money. So let's just get back to business and quit goofing around.
Steve doesn't put up with anybody's shit, that's for sure. I did see a YouTube video online where he was at some sort of award show or something, and he just went off on them.
Award show, that was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's it. Yeah.
When we did that, they treated us like shit. So
really?
We had to slap them around, just like Dolly Parton did last week.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Dolly. That's a joy to get a slap from Dolly. That's for sure.
Well,
no talent, no musician suits that think that they know how to manipulate the business. And they treat musicians like we're like the houseboys, or the pool man,
I think it's the changing of the guard, Kenny. Really, I've experienced.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Here's what I'm saying, okay? Because I always bring it up. All right. I am a long-time Rush fanatic, Kenny. Yeah. All right. Now, years and years and years, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame shunned them, and it was for the public, including whatever. All of a sudden, they were there. So I'm not saying that you would have seen it, but I loved it when Alex Lifeson, the guitar player, and his speech came up, and I'll be brief. All he said was blah 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 blah. So nice to hear some other sides of it. So I love your honesty, Kenny.
That's a famous speech, and all the people in the music business know about that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Award shows are they're no big deal. We don't get butthurt if they don't pick us. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to play. If the crowds are there, you got 15,000, 20,000 people, in the venue. I mean, you're setting the message. People are showing up.
I can't really call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore. Honestly, I was recently, when you see the list of inductees and stuff like that, what the hell does Eminem or even someone like Jay-Z have a right to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? These sort of artists, true classic rock artists like these guys, and many other bands like Led Zeppelin, so on and so on, they deserve to be in there. That's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What's your views on that?
Well, NWA was inducted with us along with Chicago and Cheap Trick and everybody else that night.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we had them all, but it did use samples with electric guitars and rock beats. So rock music as a part of their form. But Dolly Parton, she does not do that. So to me, NWA, they deserve it more than Dolly Parton, and she
of course
for that, and that's why she refused the award. And I really respect her for that. And I actually have met Dolly in the past, seen her perform.
Oh, she refused it. I didn't even catch that. She's
equal to all of it, but I mean, she's smart enough to know you're crossing the line, guys. You're just trying to make an HBO special and charge $100,000 per seat for the show, because that's what you do. Show.
They charge you guys to sit in your own seats. Oh my God. Hey, by the way, we're gonna give you an award. We're gonna treat you like shit, and we're gonna charge you for your seats.
I won't even go into details the way they treated us. But anyway, we went, we did it. It was fine, and we got in, and Steve is, now had the nod. He could care less, frankly. When he gave that speech, it was after he got the award. He came. I know. And some reporter said, "Hey, Steve, how was your experience with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?" He goes, "You really want to know?" And then,
and it was really funny. It was kind of like, when they cut you off on the mic when your speech is too long and stuff. They tried to cut him off. I think the woman comes up to him and goes, "I think that's enough," and he says, "No, I'm done when I'm done," or whatever. And boy, he went on for like another.
Danny Serafine, the original drummer from Chicago that night, he did the same thing because he hasn't been in the band for years.
That's right. Yes.
They had to induct him, so he got up on the mic, and they tried to do the same thing to him live. And he said, "Motherfucker, you ain't wanking me off." I love it because Gary Gershman, the director, producer, and Tom Hanks, who actually do that show, I really respected them for leaving that in.
Oh my God!
You mentioned if I caught this right about I'm sorry if the name doesn't come to my mind, but with Chicago, or the guitar player in Chicago.
You're talking about Terry Kath, the original.
I am.
Yeah, his daughter was there that night, and she accepted the award on his behalf.
Yeah, incredible. I can recall it. It makes sense to me, and I love hearing it. Jimi Hendrix himself said that he was a better guitar player than him, and I did a little feature on Chicago recently.
And I put Terry Kath over Jimmy every time, and I was a very big protege of Terry Kath's, and he was more jazzy and a little more R&B, and he has a little more swagger and a little more rhythm stuff. He just didn't get that freeform guitar stuff he did on that first album. He just sort of
incredible versatility. Oh my God, are you kidding?
Is that what you do? Okay, well, check this out. I'll do a little bit of that too. But here's what else I do. I sing lead. I write great songs. I'm on the radio constantly. These are pop songs.
Yes.
You're a carnival act. And that's really what Jimmy was. He wanted to be a sax player. And in interviews, when you talked to him when he was coming up in the Chitlin circuit with all those black groups, Little Richard and Curtis Knight and the Isley Brothers, he was looking at all the attention that the tenor saxophone player was getting. And that he was trying to recreate with all that sound effect stuff he was doing on his guitar. He was trying to be the sax guy because they got all the chicks.
Also, it's really hard to light a saxophone on fire.
He was a really insecure guy.
Yeah.
And I saw him live twice, and he was good one of the two nights.
Isn't that funny? Was it because he was smashed, without picking on people, because I will not, because it's just been that way for some in the day, but was it because he was smashed?
He just had baggage. He had baggage, and he had ghosts and, and drugs. And, sometimes he was unbelievably brilliant. Other times he was just an insecure fop. God bless him.
Now, you've worked with some really cool artists and stuff. Some of the people that you probably ended up growing up listening to and emulating and stuff like that. Two of the artists have recently passed or whatever. I wanted to touch on them. One of them being Meatloaf, who recently passed away.
Who?
You worked Meatloaf.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And of course, Eddie Money.
I know. I played on one of his albums.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. What was it like when you heard that these two had passed or whatever? Was it he's pretty close to these guys, or?
Meatloaf was not more of a surprise because I thought, he'd probably take better care of himself. Money, I was surprised he made it as long as he did. Absolute party animal.
Yeah. Right.
And burning himself at both ends, But Meatloaf was he was a lot like me. We were both big guys that were playing. He was a shot putter like me in track.
So that's right. Yes,
we got along as shot putters, and we got along as football players, and we met on that level. And the music was on the side for our relationship. We were touring with him in Australia, and nice cat, And so I really thought he was an interesting study because, like Steve and Terry Kath and other people like myself who are large men, trying to be a rock and roller in a world when you're dealing with, Keith Richards and, Jeff,
How Keith Richards has made it this far or whatever is the real question, right?
Oh, we don't live rock and roll. We live like American football players, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how do you be a rocker with that physique? So Meatloaf was a really good guy to talk to that about, and he made me a little more secure about myself and helped me. And so,
really, that's interesting.
Nice guy. And I was sorry to see him go, and he was such a talent, you know, in the way that he would capture and interpret a song. And he just threw his whole soul into his songs.
Yeah, very much so.
You know what I was always impressed with Meatloaf, is he was the one guy that wrote a song about something that we see every single day. Objects in the rearview mirror may seem closer than they appear, which is written on every rearview mirror of every car. And he wrote a song about it. He wrote a song about it. Yeah. I'm sorry, you got cut off?
Sure that he wrote that.
Ooh.
I know a lot of his material, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I have a feeling I might be right.
Just saying, because I would like to give credit to the real writers and situations.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like over here we have a group in Canada called Nazareth.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Two of their biggest hits. One was Love
Hurts.
And that was written by the Everly Brothers.
Yep.
This Light Tonight, written by, of course, who?
Yeah.
Tony Mitchell. Yeah.
And quite a few Steve Miller hits that weren't written by Steve. A lot of people don't know that. You know, I'm not taking nothing away from the ones that he did write, because he did hits. You know, I've never written a hit. You know, I've gotten close, but I've never did a big hit. So I have to give it up to those people. You know, they must know something I don't. You know,
there's a famous song from Manfred Mann, by the way, that I always got wrong. I always thought it was the Steve Miller Band, but it was Manfred Mann who wrote the song.
Was that Blinded by the Light?
No, Manfred Mann. Blinded by the Light. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was Steve Miller, but for some reason I was a dumbass, and it was Manfred Mann who wrote it.
I know Steve doesn't had a whole lot of covers. I mean, he's had a few, you know, like Neville Brothers, and then of course Seal, and you know, a lot of rappers have sampled him, but not a lot of people have covered Steve's songs because he's such a song stylist. Because I do his songs in my acts, and it's hard to capture him because his voice is so unique that it's hard to get that same timbre and that same full energy and that high tenor sparkle that he's got. It's just easy, and he's just a really gifted singer.
I can't tell you enough. I'm actually Métis as well, and at jams locally here with two Aboriginal brothers. When we do the Steve Miller songs, there's just something about it, Kenny, that is just, you know, that euphoric time that you have. And it's always been the classics from Steve Miller that we do that seem to really go off. So this is why this is also, you know, quite an honor to be able to talk with yourself that's played on the music and, of course, with Steve Miller. So it is quite touching.
Oh, I'm really honored to be here. And by the way, should I be calling you Bling or Phil?
Well, it's a long story.
Bling and Junior.
I worked at last mainstream radio station I worked at. Was top 40 radio station. So they gave me this they said, you got to have a DJ name. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't need no freaking DJ name. So that's when my careers in radio started really picking up. And so pretty much being able to kick in backstage doors and get the interviews that I do and all that stuff is been built by this name. Everybody knows who Bling is in the music industry, but nobody knows who Phil Sear is. You know what I mean? So I have to stick with it, even though it sucks. I'm 55 years old and I'm walking around with a name called Bling. It sucks, but you know,
my name is Kendall. You know, and Kendall is just not rock and roll. It's a cool name. It's just not rock and roll. So
that's a good point.
Steve ended up naming me Kenny Lee, you know, because he decided, because he's from Dallas and he's got a southern streak, and he just likes to call me Kenny Lee. You know, it's like it's the same way. So now that I know how to address you, and Junior, to answer your question, it is
call me Phil. It's fine.
So much for having me on the show to be able to tell my story and to relate to you guys what my experience has been like for over 41 years being a fan, because he was one of my idols when I was growing up. So
I was going to ask. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
after being, a fan, I had to switch that switch over to being just an employee, and being a part of the team, and it took a while, but I think I've got it down now.
That's it.
So it's actually, sorry, you said 41 years working with Steve?
Yeah, I met him in '81 on the Abracadabra album production,
Right.
and then I joined to tour in '82. So it's 41 years knowing him and 40 touring with him.
That's it. He started. They asked him to go on tour, and then after they asked him to become a permanent fixture in Steve Miller Band.
If you want to hear the story, is
please.
The drummer Gary Malaber, who played all of Steve's hits, or most of them, I should say, goes way back to Moon Dance with Van Morrison and all that. He was in a lot of bands back east. He was from Buffalo, came out to California. I eventually met him. I was in a band with him for a couple of years, and we became songwriting partners. And one day in '81, in the winter of '81, Steve called looking for material because he needed a record to come out before Christmas. And it was dry. He just got over a second divorce. He wasn't drinking anymore. He didn't have any inspiration to write, so he was looking for material. So he called Gary, and Gary and I had a partner named John Massaro. And the three of us had 8 masters that we'd already recorded in Gary's garage that we did an 8-track TIAC 15 IPS machine with DBS. So it was like master quality demos we made, basically. And when we called up Gary looking for material, we agreed to let him hear them to think he might cover a song. Like we were thinking like one. Well, we ended up taking all 8 of them and cleaned us out, and he transferred our masters of. And again, I played guitar and bass on
those tracks.
Yeah. The 24-track took me over to Capitol. He started developing the Abracadabra album. So I was already on the album by way of me playing on my own demos.
Oh shit! I just realized. Did I miss something? You guys were released on Capitol back then, yes?
Oh, he was on Capitol all the way back to 1916.
Right. Oh shit! Because sorry, I'm gonna pause you if I can. I just have it's my age thing, Kenny, too. My uncle was the vice president of Capitol Records in Canada, so I just had a bit of a. We'll get back to that in a sec. So I just wanted to make sure I had the right record label. Go ahead.
He was with Capitol. He signed to Capitol. I think it was like late '66 or early '67.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Suits came up to the Fillmore from LA one day, and PA and CBS and Ariston, all these companies came up, Capitol, and Columbia, and they signed, like Carlos, Jefferson Airplane,
Bob Seger as well, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was in Detroit. Okay, stay with me. This is the Fillmore, San Francisco. They came up and they signed all the Flower Power Act because they thought they'd make some money off this trend called Flower Power.
Yeah.
And Steve just happened to be one of them, and he wasn't even a flower child. He was a blues band that came out from Chicago that just happened to be working there that week, and he got signed. It didn't sound anything like the other bands. Steve was playing Texas Shuffles and playing R&B. He was playing real music. He wasn't all that, white bird in a golden cage. He wasn't doing that shit. He was, wake up, mama, baby, down my fucking shoes. Like real blues, and like the hippies were going, oh my God, this is really good music. And of course the labels, they didn't know any better. They just signed him. So from 66 till 80, let's see, what was the last record he did with Capitol? 87 was his last record with Capitol. He was on Capitol. So anyway, that clears that up. But anyway, I can't remember what our question was now. We cleared that up. Oh, we transferred our masters. I was on the demos. They went to 24-track. We worked on the Abracadabra album together. He invited me to come in because he saw me as a peer. I was a songwriter, and I had the songs, and he didn't. And so, he was kind of inviting me in as a songwriter and said, I really like the way you play guitar and bass. Can you come down to the studio, help me work on the record? Which we did along with Gary, because Gary was there. And we did the Abracadabra album together in 81. So that's when I met him and started working with him. But I still wasn't in the band.
Oh, wow.
Doing studio work. I was a studio bass player working 3 sessions a day in Los Angeles. And then when I had time off, I go over to Capitol and help him with this record we were working on. We didn't know it was going to be called Abracadabra because the song that was the track that Abracadabra was a song called Macho Children. And it was rotten. It had terrible lyrics. And I told him, I said, Steve, this is a great track. Don't throw it out. You just need to write some lyrics for it, some better lyrics. And sure enough, he did. He came back from a ski trip up in Sun Valley, Idaho one day, and he had seen Diana Ross on the slopes because they were doing a celebrity benefit skiing thing up there, and he'd always loved Diana because he had done.
That's where the reach out and grab you part comes out.
He had done Hullabaloo with her in 1965 with the Goldberg Miller Blues Band and the Temptations, and he fell in love with her that far back. And so he saw her. He was thinking about her when he wrote that line that you just mentioned, and that a lot of people don't know that, but that's what the lyrics. The track, which was called Macho Children, and eventually came Abracadabra, and then eventually we named the album Abracadabra because that was a standout track, obviously. So that tells that whole story. And then one day he just called me. He says, "Look, I'm doing pictures for the band tomorrow. You're all over this record. You help me produce it. You help me co-write it. Why don't you just join the band and go on the road with me?" I didn't have to audition or anything.
Wow, that's so cool. What was it like for you when you got that? That was like, I guess, your achieving moment. Did you like, oh my God, is this real? Like,
I just right away. Because I had a great studio career. I was making six figures doing work. So I had to call that up to join his band.
Oh, wow.
My girlfriend at that time, who's now my wife, and I a professional singer-songwriter, Diane Steinberg Lewis. She's the only Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds that is ever. The movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? Well, she's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in that movie.
Oh,
no way.
So she schooled me in how to become a songwriter and join BMI and get into the business and met all the guys in Toto on her album. And, that's how I got into the studio business was through her. So I kind of turned to her and said, "Do you think I should join this band? I'm giving up a great career here in town." And she says, "Well, you've already had 3 record deals," which I had at the time, and you never had a hit, and you've always wanted to promote your own original material. Here's your chance. You'll just have a guy named Steve Miller singing them instead of you.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
This is my partner, John, the other co-owner of the station. He's saying hello to you, Kenny.
Wow.
Albert Blakemore.
John is his name?
Yeah, John. Yeah. Our quiet Mormon pastor. Eh? He hosts a Christian rock show, believe it or not.
Oh.
Yeah. Mormon pastor. I'm twisted that way, Kenny. Look, if you got a name like Bling, already there's some marbles loose in my head type of thing.
Okay.
Well, good. Here we go. Another hello coming in from a Barbie Emerson.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody.
Good. Go ahead.
Hey, Barbie. And by the way, Barbie, you don't come with Ken, only with G.I. Joe. Thank you. I just did that one.
So I hope I didn't talk too much. Just tell me when to.
No. But I got something that I am supposed to bring up to you because I was hoping that we were going to have a special jump in on this thing. Now, let me just put you all into position here. Kenny Lee Lewis was brought to me by one of our other guests we've had on the indie scene, who happens to be the sound man and engineer, while we're on that Christian subject, of a group called, who are they? Striper.
Oh, Striper. Okay.
Striper. So, and the funny thing is his name is Kenny Lewis.
Oh, you're talking about the engineer, Kenny Lewis.
Yeah, Kenny Lewis, of course. Now, he's acting like, we're not that type, but I'm about to tell you a little, I'm supposed to mention something that's going to bring out some really funny story over here, because as soon as Kenny heard, he says, "Oh, you're going to have Kenny Lee Lewis on? Ask him about this." He'll laugh his ass off. So supposedly, I'm trying to remember it, but supposedly you were together with Kenny. These guys were at some Irish pub or something. There was a parade going on. I don't know what this is all about, but he says you would be able to tell the story.
Okay.
An Irish pub.
Well, an Irish pub or a bar or something. You were on a terrace and there was a parade and there was some sort of commotion that happened or something.
A commotion that happened when Kenny and I were. He'd have to refresh me on that, but I will.
He leaves me hanging. He was supposed to jump on the show and remind us all the story. And
some physical challenges, so I wouldn't doubt he was resting in a hammock somewhere with some lemonade. But here's what I have with Kenny is that we went to one of his favorite restaurants in Boston Common.
I think is the story. Yeah.
It was called Durgan Park, which has since moved on, but it was one of the oldest contiguously open restaurants in the United States, and it was, went back to the early 1800s or something. And we were there, and the only thing I remember that I thought was interesting is I think we split the bill or something, and it was just interesting to see the look on the waitress's face when she saw credit cards that both said Kenny Lewis on them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Who to give which one to you? Coincidence, that we have the same names. I don't know. He's probably a Kenneth. I'm thinking, and I'm a Kendall, but we call ourselves Kenny.
Well, it's a good thing you call yourself Kenny Lee Lewis, because that Kendall thing definitely would have got you on the Kardashian show for sure. And you don't want to be a part of that. So.
I used to be made fun of as being a Ken doll, male Ken doll, which was a great thing when you're a young adolescent kid to be referred to as, because in those days it was kind of like sissy girl doll stuff. You didn't want to be involved with that. Well, anyway, but as far as a commotion or some kind of thing, Kenny would have to tell that story and refresh my.
He told me something about there was a parade going on. It was the St. Patrick's Day parade or something in Boston. And the parade marshal had confronted you about something or whatever, and blah blah blah. I don't know. There was something really funny. Yeah, there was something funny. Yeah, I don't. It was like the story he was telling me, and I was like, "This is like
the Italian saint parades they do down there."
That's the one
on Hanover Street where all the good fellas are, and they drive their Cadillacs down the middle of the street, and they park in the middle of the street and get out of their cars, and they go in. Get some coffee or cannoli, and they come out. The world stops because the guy parked a 75 Eldorado right in the street, and everybody just has to wait. That neighborhood that is. But I don't remember any commotion, but I would have to be refreshed. I'm getting older, so my memory's starting to go.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe you were making fun of him. You were laughing about the Italians, how they would stop and so on. That might have been.
I do it all the time. It's fantastic.
Anyways, we'll blame Kenny on it. He was supposed to show up and bring it all to light or whatever, but he's in studio right now doing some drum tracks with
but he's a great guy, and I'm so glad he's feeling better and that he's doing well. Kenny, I'm with you, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I seen him go through COVID. The worst thing ever. Kenny is by the way an amazing producer, engineer, sound man extraordinaire. And one of the stories I've mentioned even on last week's show, Junior, remember, we were talking about how Stryper would throw Bibles out into the audience, and Kenny told me a story about how Mike threw a freaking Bible on his mixing board and knocked all his tracks out, which took him like a couple of hours to do, and he got a real snizzle out of it, And Kenny was just all loco over the thing. But he's done some great recording work. But I saw what happened like during COVID. There was nothing going on, so everybody had to reinvent themselves. So Kenny ended up going. And here's the true story. Went to go work for a radio station. He was doing some producing or whatever for a radio show on Sundays. And that same radio station, I own their old mixing board. Their old mixing board from that station. And Kenny sent me the picture of the new board that they replaced it with and stuff. But I have the old board from that station. It's one of those ones with the old teak wood and everything on the outside and so on. Yeah, I guess some people don't really realize I'm on air. That happens to me every time on the show. Phone goes off and so on. Hold on. Okay, Junior, take over. I gotta send a message and tell him stop calling me.
No worry whatsoever. So what I'd like to do is kind of go back because the fact of we're finding out that people are still appreciating classic rock in that category, but yet classic rock radio stations in North America, and talking with the people I have off. But in getting out, did you ever imagine yourself in regards to? I've talked before in regards to the songs, but I can't help but think of a most memorable moment on stage. Can you come up with one in regards to playing with Steve Miller?
Most memorable moment on stage. Okay, I think that's what I got from you. Your mic was kind of cutting in and out. So, most memorable moment on stage. Well, I would probably have to say it was not with Steve in particular, even though he did eventually get up on stage with me, we were opening for Paul McCartney in 1994. And
Wow.
I'm sorry, 93. 1993, we were at the Hollywood Bowl opening for Paul McCartney for Earth Day. And I had just met Paul backstage because we were opening act, and he and Steve have been friends for years because they used to co-write when they were kids. And Diane, of course, knew Paul because she was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in the movie that George produced the soundtrack of, which Paul was involved in, blah, blah, blah. So Diane and I were backstage, and he had mentioned something early in the evening, Paul did, about, when at the end of the show, I'm going to sing Hey Jude, and I'd love for everyone to come out and join me, and you and Diane, Kenny, and everybody come out. And so he's at the end of the show. We've already opened for
his accent, by the way.
we already opened for him. We did an unplugged show. It was my first show coming back with Steve because I took a break for 6 years from 87 to 93 to raise my first kid, and then just to kind of go into the corporate world, working for JPL and some other people. Anyway, so I came back to Steve because he asked me to. He was doing one of my tunes on this new album. But anyway, Paul, is doing his show. Diane and I go over to the side of the stage, and somebody's watching our daughter at that time, who was 6 at that time. And we were just standing in the wings, and then we didn't know when he was going to go into the song because there was a lot of acts on the show, and everybody was invited. It wasn't just Diane and I. So we were on the wings, and so he's sitting there announcing, what he's doing and what it's, he's making comments about Earth Day and ecology. And then he just says, we're getting ready to go into our last song, and we're going to sing Hey Jude, and we're going to ask some people to join us. And he looks over to the side, and he sees Diane and I. Now, granted, I just met the guy, right? And he goes, Diane and Kenny, come on out and join me. This is like at the Hollywood Bowl. And
I know.
He turns to the other side. He goes, and Brother Ringo, come on out. And so we go from one side of the stage, and Diane and I are coming from the other. We meet in the middle, and we all start, Hey Jude, don't make it. And we start singing the song. Yeah. When CNN took the shot of us doing that, and I got a copy of that video, and I posted it, and it's on YouTube. You can look it up. But it shows us singing with him, and by then all the people started coming out. But right when they took that shot, you could see Diane and I and Ringo and Paul all in the same frame singing together on television that was going all over the world.
Wow.
And then eventually Steve came out too, and he joined the crowd, but by then it was just but that was one of my most memorable moments performing on stage.
Okay. Now, my question
what happened then at the time. It's not a question of he is rock royalty but starstruck. So you happen to finally back one time, and because not everybody looks at their themselves, but there must have been a moment that you really realized this is Paul McCartney, and I indeed had a chance to play with him.
Okay, you're going to have to repeat that for me, Bling, because his mic was cutting in and out. Sorry.
Okay, I could do that for you, Kenny, real easy. Is that good? That was pretty much how it went. I heard it on this side or whatever. Junior, you have to talk slower because you're chopping up when you're talking there. So you have to repeat what you just said there.
Okay, let's try this once again.
There we go.
Technical difficulties. Can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Anyway, the moment you realized that you indeed were playing with rock royalty.
When did you really, truly realize that you were playing with rock royalty at that moment?
You mean in that particular story?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
just when you got called out on stage, must have been at that point going, whoa, like,
well, in my life, I had already had, a hit record with Steve,
yeah.
World, and we, had already come out with another new album with I Had a Song on, so, I mean, I had 3 albums with Steve that I wrote material on. So, like, I wasn't like a novice anymore.
Yeah.
But with Paul McCartney, it's a different kind of a thing because not only is he, as big as he is, but he's not an American.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like it nowadays, because he's on Facebook and social media all the time. He seems like he's an American.
Yeah.
It was just so otherworldly, because I remember, growing up with him and my brother and sister idolizing the Beatles.
Well, that's it.
I didn't really get into the Beatles till the White Album, and then I backed off and went backwards, and I got into Revolver and Rubber Soul and those records, and realized how incredible the band was in the songwriting and everything. I never made that connection. I was much more into that English blues, second page and all that stuff.
Taking you back as when we started the interview, we're talking about that you weren't really as into the Beatles as much as you were into the Beach Boys. What do you think of the album Pet Sounds?
It's amazing. In fact, I just got the music for doing God Only Knows, and I'm going to be doing that in a duo with a friend of mine here in town.
Okay.
In my country, and my wife, who's a classically trained pianist, got on the chart, and I came in from doing something one day, and she was playing it, and I was listening to the chord changes, and it was like, oh my God, this is like incredible classical genius. Debussy meets Stravinsky kind of chord changes, and I'm just going, where the hell did they come up with that?
Yeah,
with the melody that ties it all together, and the melody is pop. It's a pop melody, Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
It's a pop melody with these changes with leading tones. It's like it's heavy music, man. So to answer your question, buy the record, because by then I was already kind of in another thing. I'd already gone beyond the Beach Boys. I was into this stuff, but back on it now. I mean, I can see why everybody talks about that record. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. I watched a documentary where a lot of artists said they were inspired by that album because it was just probably one of the greatest things that came out at that moment, and how evolved it was ahead of its time.
And to tie us into the beginning of our conversation, guess who played guitar and bass on that record?
Oh no,
Carol Kay, the one I missed, the lady.
Of course,
yeah. She played bass and guitar on almost that whole record.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Glenn Campbell who played with her group, because there was two different groups. There was the Swampers, and then there was another one from California, studio in California.
In the studio, Glenn was a studio guitar player that was part of the Wrecking Crew. So a lot of sessions, he'd be playing guitar, and Carol would be on bass.
Yeah, so it was the same group.
On other sessions, Max Bennett or Joe Osborne would be on bass, and Carol would be on guitar, along with Howard Roberts and Tom Tedesco.
There's even a video online on YouTube of her showing Gene Simmons a couple of things or two.
Yeah.
Gene was like, "Oh, this is so cool,"
Get back to the beat like we were talking about with this down stage, and to answer your question, Junior, when he looked over at me, I knew that he was connecting more with Diane because my wife's beautiful, of course, and she was losing. So he was looking at her. He didn't want to be disrespectful, and he saw, me next to her, and he just met me, and he remembered my name just because he had just met me. I don't think he would have remembered it any other time. When he said, "Oh, Diane and Kenny, come on out and join me," it's like, I literally needed a diaper at that moment,
Yeah.
And she's cool because my wife, she's a ham bone, right? So she grabbed my hand and is dragging me out on stage. I'm going, whoa, I'm kind of in a dream world. I don't even know what I am. And then she pulls me up there. She kind of looks at me like, "Straighten up, get up here, be a performance, start singing."
kind of like that the kid holding mom's hand type of thing, walking and like, "Wow, this is so cool."
In the Rambo mode, and I'm going for it. I'm like,
yeah,
it's pretty funny. And I'm right behind Ringo. I position myself right behind Ringo because I'm going to put myself in front of Ringo. Ringo, so it's him and Ringo. I'm right behind Ringo, and then Diane is kind of like in between them, and it's just so freaking weird. It's hard to even remember. Then of course I saw him years later, and we talk about it, and by then now we're peers, and he knows who I am, and I don't ask him for autographs or photos or selfies or anything, because I know that if I do that with Paul, the next time he sees me, he's going to go running off because he doesn't want to get in a headlock and have a noogie. He wants to be treated like me to his spirit. So if I'm cool, he'll just go, "Oh, it's Kenny. He's cool. Come on over." He doesn't have to worry about me getting all starstruck. because you have to be that way backstage. If you're in catering together, you're eating this rubber chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the way you have to treat the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Well, I was about to ask that question. What's it like? Like if you're kind of like someone who, like you look at all these people and you live vicariously through them all your life, and now you're meeting all these cool acts and all these great stars that you grew up watching and stuff. Being a fan or whatever, how does like artists in general accept that sort of thing? Where you're going, oh, okay, wait a minute, the bassist of the Steve Miller Band just came up to me and said, hey, can I have your autograph? You're like, what's that all about? We're all working on the same.
I'll tell you the way I handled Robert Plant. We were doing Byron Bay Festival in Australia, and he was with Ellison Krauss, and he was backstage with us. When we eating together, we were referring to each other, and the promoter of that show knew him pretty well. He was from England, old guy, and he introduced us to him. We'd all nod our heads, and we eating the same rubber chicken. Like I said, I didn't approach him while we were together as a group, because what happens if you do that, then everybody wants to crowd in and get a picture, and then you've really blown it, because then he hates you, because now he's got to stand in line and give pictures with, even though they're celebrities, he's got to give pictures with celebrities even. He doesn't even want to do that. So we left the room, and he went outside, and I chased him outside. Yeah. And I had my phone. I said, Percy, come here. Call him Robert, because everybody calls him Percy, in the Led Zeppelin band. And he turned immediately, and he was like surprised that I even knew that name. I said, knucklehead. I said, a picture with you, or otherwise my wife would kill me. Come over here. And I said, can I take this selfie? And he says, it's going to cost you $5. $5? Yeah, $5. And I'm like, well, I don't have my wallet on as well. And he says to me, look, I'll give it to the promoter. I'll owe it to you. Give $5. The person is messing with me. So finally, picture, which I have, I could send it to you. It's funnier than hell. He had that look on his face like, yeah. I gave the $5 to the promoter, and I said, you got to give this to Robert. Because I didn't know it, but he just
signed it and gave it to him,
the $5, but I got the
just signed it, so it's a little memory for him or whatever.
He did a kick
at that. But you really did give him $5 though?
Say again?
He really did
give him the $5 though?
Well, I gave the bucks to the promoter. I'm sure that he probably got it, and I told him to give it to him as a joke, because he didn't really want the $5. He's fucking with me.
Yeah, of course.
It was just to work hard to get the help,
Well, look, usually one of my favorite questions I like to ask in these interviews is, and it always ends up being, there was this one time with Lemmy. And of course, that question is, what is your greatest of all experiences? What was your greatest rock and roll moment?
Well, that one with Paul McCartney's kind of hard to beat, but I can try to come up with other. Greatest rock and roll moment.
Have you ever partied with Lemmy like everybody else? Or had your experience with Lemmy?
Lemmy Kilmister?
You got it.
Motorhead?
You got it.
Yeah, he's just another guy at the NAMM show that I'd run into all the time.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like an equal to me. I don't look as a big star. He's a bass player that was a famous bass.
Yeah, it was funny because I had interviewed a lead singer of a band called Helix, and he told me that his favorite rock and roll moment was he was in a cafeteria backstage. Lemmy comes up to him, and he goes, "Do you believe in fucking God?" Right? And it started. Yeah, that was his first opening line, and supposedly his father was a pastor and all that stuff. And he said, Brian said that ended up with them being on a roof, and he pulls out a tackle box. He says, what's your buzz? And he had pretty much every type of drug you can think of in this little tackle box or whatever, uppers, downers, lower, And I was kind of like, what a freaking story of rock and roll or whatever. But that was Lemmy. He lived that rock and roll lifestyle.
Feed bag, right? He used to have a feed bag that he used over his nose while he was playing. It was full of blow, and he could just play. And then when he wanted to hit, he just go back like that, while he was playing. Cocaine feed bag on his nose. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know, eh?
I admire, admirable, but I don't know. That's questionable, you know.
Yeah, you're on stage going, "Oh, I could use a Gatorade by now." Okay.
Anyway, I thought about answering your question. I thought about the moment. Uh, Jeff Beck did a show at the Iridium in New York. I'd say probably about almost 10 years ago now, 8 or 10 years ago. And it was a Les Paul tribute. Les had already passed. We actually played Carnegie Hall with Les with the Steve Miller on his 90th birthday. That was pretty awesome. That was one of them because my father, he was still alive. And when I had finally done Carnegie Hall, you know, he one of his favorite albums was, you know, Benny Goodman live at, you know, Carnegie Hall in 1939 with his
right.
So I was able to do that. But anyway, Les is Steve's godfather. I don't know if you know that. So I've met Les Paul many times, played with him, jammed with him, went to his house, went to his basement, saw the log, you know, so, you know, the first wraparound harmonica clamp that he invented, and, you know, all the delays and the multi-track taper head. I mean, everything that Les invented, I got to see in his house, in his basement, which was amazing. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, there's a club called the Iridium that's in Midtown Manhattan, and Les used to play there on Monday nights all the time. And so we used to go jam with Les. And so Les was already gone. Jeff Beck comes back to do a tribute to Les, and he brings Melda May from Ireland, who's a kind of a rockabilly chick that can sing all that Mary Ford stuff perfectly. And so he came and he did a Les Paul tribute. This is Jeff Beck, my idol, right?
Yeah.
Main idol, the one live. And so we got invited to the show. I took Steve Miller, you know, we both went. And, or actually, he got invited because of the Iridium connection with him. I got to Steve. How's that? So, but you know, to me, it's already my show because Jeff Beck's my guy. Steve's not really a big fan of Jeff's. He respects him, but he's so otherworldly in the way that he is that Steve doesn't know how to relate to it because it's completely from another planet. But because it's got Hendrix in there, and that's that eccentric thing that I was telling you about. That's that crazy carnival kind of playing, you know, that Jeff does so well. So anyway, we watched the show. It's amazing. He completely emulates all the original Les Paul hits. Imelda May is singing all the multi-track, pre-recorded stuff that like Les used to do with Mary Ford. The show is amazing. And he's not playing a Les Paul. He's not playing a Les Paul. He's not playing a Strat or a Tele like he did in all these other bands. He's playing a Gibson 175 hollow body.
Oh,
little lead amps. So here's Jeff Beck now on a jazz guitar.
Yeah.
He's playing his ass off, and he would not playing on the wang bar. He's not using any of that nonsense. He's just playing straight up wound great jazz guitar. No rock, no bending, a little bit of bending here and there, but he's playing great guitar. Steve and I were completely blown away. He goes upstairs to the Star Cafe. I don't know if you ever know about that. It's upstairs. They have sink waiters, whatever. Anyway, they had a private party there, and he had a receiving line, which you never see Jeff do because he's really shy. He hates to meet crowds and he hates to meet people, but he decided to do it, and we were all in line. Here I am in line with Steve Miller, and we're waiting to see Jeff Beck. And so we get in line, and I go before him. I go before Steve, and I go, Jeff, man. I mean, he's sitting in this booth, and you know, he's not looking at anybody. He hates eye contact, and I go, and I'm bowing, and I'm going, Jeff, I just thank you so much for this great show, and it was so great hearing you on a jazz guitar and playing all that great music, and I'm so thank you, sir, you know, for your music, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and so he just kind of goes, yeah, okay, thank you. And so I leave, and here comes Steve Miller right behind me, right? And Steve, Jeff, it's me, Steve Miller. And he kind of looks at Steve like, yeah, oh, okay. You know, and Steve goes,
I know.
Steve, you know, I'm a joker, I'm a smoker. He starts doing a tap dance.
No way.
Who he is. And Jeff's kind of looking away, like, okay. And you know, and Steve's not reaching him, you know. And Jeff is like, okay, and he's kind of waiting for the next person. He's looking at the next person. And Steve's like, Jeff, I mean, Les was my godfather, and you really did a great job. I just want to. And so finally he reaches out, and I think Jeff kind of put his hand out like this. He didn't go like this.
No.
He just
like kiss the ring.
And Jeff just kind of goes, okay, kind guy looks away.
Oh my God.
Steve's in a trance. He's kind of shocked, and I kind of grab him. We kind of push him on down the line. A little next person comes. And then for the rest of the night, Steve's kind of, did you hear the way he talked to me? And it's like, yeah, man, it's Jeff Beck. Don't take it personally. He's just that way. It's like, oh my God. And I had to kind of walk him back to the hotel and put him in
that don't humble you, eh? If that don't humble you when you're up there and I'm Steve Miller. And
that he wasn't going to be the belle of the ball at that moment, and it was humiliating, but I think humbling, I would say, is a better word.
That's what I mean, yeah.
For Steve, because it's good to have him have the Jeff Beck experience.
You know what song was going through his head at that moment, eh?
For me, it was just another thing with that too that I could tell you if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
The similar story with Steve with the doo-doo if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is ready? Okay. In 92, before I got back in the band, he was on tour with the Grateful Dead. He was playing stadiums opening up for the Dead. Steve was.
Right.
I was in the band, and I was taking that break I spoke of. So Ted Nugent was also on the show. And Ted Nugent set up some hay bales in the back of Soldier Field in Chicago so he could do some archery lessons, right? And am I taking up too much time? You want to hear this story?
No, not whatsoever. Don't worry. Go.
When you got a pee bucket in the room. What's going on here? I'm telling a story here. You left the frame.
Yeah. No, we're good. As long as you can hear me all right.
Okay. Well, anyway, Steve is in the back with Ted Nugent doing some archery practice because Ted asked him if he wanted to do some archery, and he did. But Steve forgot to take his laminate. He didn't have his laminate on him. And at that time, the Dead were running the security, and you know who they hire? They hire the Hells Angels to be their security backstage. Okay, so Steve's coming off from an archery thing with Ted, and it's about ready. It's about time for Steve to go on stage. So he gets to the back of the venue, and he goes up to this giant 300-pound biker, and he stops him. He goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm Steve. I got to be on stage in just a minute. I'm Mark. I'm Steve Miller." He goes, "Yeah, me and my monkey's uncle, mother. He didn't believe who he was. He didn't have laminate, and he's going, no, you don't understand. I got to be on stage. I'm Steve."
Right.
Miller. And this Hell's Angel biker security guy's going, "Prove it." This is going. He starts with the soft shoe again. "It's me, I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a and nobody's believing him, man. And it's like this biker's going, like he couldn't get on stage to do his own show. Somehow, I think the promoter walked by like 2 minutes before downbeat, and finds says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "This guy is trying to get backstage." He goes, he's on the marquee. That's Steve Miller. Let him in. But I was not there. But hearing that story just cracks me up. Because I know exactly what that's like. Because I've done that myself. Even though, of course, it would be more with me than Steve. But he couldn't get into his own gig because of a Hell's Angels security guy that was paid for by the Dead and the promoter. I thought that was hilarious. Anyways, another due to Steve Miller's story.
Yeah. Anne, don't worry, Anne. She says, "My favorite song, I'm a Joker." We'll try and get Steve to sing it to you sometimes if we can ever get him on the show here. So, hey, we know too much about him now. I don't think it's happening.
We go on tour because I am the oldest tenured member of the band now.
Yeah.
When there's an interview needed on radio, they usually have me do it.
Oh yeah, that's it. He doesn't like doing interviews, Steve, too much.
He's done 9,000 of them. He doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's it. Because you know what it is. In general, as you can see, this is pretty laid back and fun. This is like having a good old get-together conversation. Whereas you get a lot of media and mainstream people, and they give you these stupid, fucking repetitive questions all the time, over and over and over again, and you just get tired of answering them and stuff. And sometimes it's just let it go. Let it go with the flow. And I had the same situation with Rob Halford from Judas Priest, where he was doing a book tour, and they were just like cramming him with he probably was doing like 10 interviews a day and stuff, and he graciously said to me after doing the interview, he says, "You know what? I think that was probably one of my favorite interviews of the whole tour."
Huh.
Because I came out and asked him a really cool question, which just, I don't know, would drive me to do it, but everybody's been asking about his book, was about him coming out in the whole music industry and so on. And I asked him the simple question. I said, "So now that it's all over and you're out in the open and everything's cool," I said, "What's it like being in love and having, living in that new world or whatever?" And he says, "Nobody's even asked that freaking question to me the whole book tour." You know what I mean? And that's an important question, because you know what? Going through all that, imagine what it would have been like. You know what I'm talking about. The rock and roll industry for many years, and especially in the metal business or whatever, it was all about leather jackets, studs, and chains and all that look or whatever. And for people to find out that that whole look came from a gay club would have just like freaked people right out, So there was a lot of turmoil in that situation,
Yeah, I never was in a metal band, so I never.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying is just, it's a strange story. You know what I mean? How the industry or whatever, there's so much spin, there's so much this and that. The way interviews are done, there's this whole mainstream code of ethics, the way things go along. And as we were talking about earlier, Junior kind of disagreed with me, but I was bringing it back to that, is that you had a changing of the guard, kind of, like you get a younger generation of people coming into the business, whereas me growing up in my radio career, I had to pay a lot of dues in order to get talking to the main act like Steve Miller, or having to, I always ended up, like back then it was like, it's a shame that you're interviewing the drummer instead of, and so on and so on. But nowadays it's so cool. You know what I mean? I'd love to interview every single person in the band, because you get all the great stories from those sort of people. But the changing of the guard and everything, where, you've paid your dues, so you're at a certain status level, but meanwhile they're treating you like you're some newbie. It just drove me nuts. Literally drove me out of the radio business for about 6 years, and then I came back and got into this. So it's What do you feel? Do you feel it's been a change of the guard type of thing also, like a younger generation that's doing their own thing but not getting what's really going on?
Well, you have to get into perspective, because my father, as we get going back to the beginning of this conversation we had, was a swing jitterbug guy. He was shout choruses on a saxophone section. That to him was hipper than anything in the world, which of course became the shout chorus that was also in Boogie Woogie, which was the chorus in rock and roll. It was pretty. So you can listen to some of the records that Count Basie was doing, and it sounded like rock and roll. It did. It's sections, and I say rock and roll, I mean early rock when it was Boogie Woogie, but that's how it evolved. And it's like there was certain rock stuff that he would hear, my father I'm talking about, in bands that I was in, when we would start swinging a little bit. And he'd go, "That's really good. That sounded like blah, blah, blah." And he would kind of give me the nod, and like say, "Sounds like you have a little bit of that in your music." And I'm glad, because it's living on. Because, of course, obviously swing music is just sort of like it's just a novelty now. It's not anything you go out and hear every week. It comes through town once in a while. And of course, Stray Cats and rockabilly, that kind of like touched on it a little bit again. But when you look at the Grammy nominations that are coming up this week, I have to put my shoes into my father's shoes and go like, it's like, there's really not much in there that I'm interested in. I mean, I would listen to Billie Eilish because she's a true artist and she's a poet, and she kind of reminds me, her and her brother are kind of like the way the Carpenters were. It's just that the Carpenters were just syrupy, sweet pop, but did it really well, and they reached people in the way that they presented themselves. And I get Billie and her brother are kind of like the Carpenters of this millennial generation in terms of the way that they reach younger people and get into their heads, and their material and the poetry and the message that she's giving is still viable, and it still matters, and so I'll give that a nod. But most of the acts that are on there for the Grammys, I don't even know who they are. It's like, I'm glad they're nominated. I'm glad that there's young people that like their music. I'm not going to besmirch that. I just don't buy it. I don't have it in my collection. I'm not going to be chasing after it. So passing the baton, yeah, why not? And it's like, when you get to the point where you can't run that sprint anymore, you've already done your best, you've ran your hardest, you're getting that line, they're running right in front of you. It'll be almost like a sprint where you didn't know the people that were actually on the relay team. It's like if you were all four strangers doing the relay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've never seen each other, you've never had coffee, you're just doing the relay, and you got to hand it to that next person. You're still part of a team. You still want to get the trophy. You want to get the adulation. You want to hear the applause. So I'll hand that baton to that next runner. I don't even know who they are. It might be a male, might be a female. Who knows? They can run with us, and we get applause. Here's the baton.
Yeah. Well, look, honestly, that's how I felt when I started the station over here, Kenny. What's really cool about it is back in the day when I was going into the radio, I was all like, oh, I want to be the greatest DJ ever. I want to be, I never achieved that huge high success or whatever. And that's, that you go through that whole ego thing and then you come down from it. But what's really cool is ever since I left it and then I came back to it and I wanted to get back into it. And then I says, well, I'm going to start my own station and everything. And then I brought on this amazing crew of DJs and stuff that we have here at Indie Rock Radio. I find myself not really too concerned about my own shows, and that I'm more living vicariously watching the growth of great independent music artists, these DJs who are evolving every single day. The audience here at Indie Rock Radio is incredible. They're so specific. Just getting somebody's attention to listen to an internet radio station is really a tough game. And specifically about, and we'll touch on that next, is the, how tracks are being released now instead of albums and stuff. A lot of things have evolved and so on, but I'm living vicariously through my acts, my DJs, everything at this station. It's not about me anymore. It's all about their success and watching them all grow. I get you 100% on that. And so let's touch on that subject. What do you think about the whole new situation where it's releasing tracks instead of albums and stuff, the whole evolution of that? Where do you think we're going with it?
Well, I mean, it's still little snapshots of audio art, and you can put a video with it too, which of course is the MTV model. You don't have to have that. I mean, a lot of people exercise and, meditate and, they do a lot of things with their eyes shut. I mean, they don't necessarily have to have visual stimulation, but they did grow video games, this new generation, and they're highly visually stimulated. And so one thing that we've done in our shows with Steve, because Steve's not a very animated.
No, he's not the type of guy who's going to have all these explosions and special effects.
He just sort of looks at his feet while he's playing, and that's about it.
That's it.
He talks good on the mic, but he's not a real flashy performer. So what we do is we build really great stage sets, and we try to do a really great, media show. Try to build great backdrops, great lights. We try to give people a little stimulation that way. But it's hard to compete with. I mean, when you think about these groups like Daft Punk and Skrillex and God who knows whoever the great DJ is for the week that's doing big medium shows, I mean, their stage show looks like an explosion. A nuclear bomb has been dropped, just all the stimulation and strobing. And blah, 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 blah. It looks like a video game. And that's what kids.
Daft Punk been around since many years, since the end, but they were never at a certain level. This whole, motorcycle helmet thing has got them all, what a gimmick, You got DJs with big, huge freaking Bonhomme Carnival hats on, like big panda hats.
Well, we did a show last August at Jones Beach for the first responders of 9/11. We did it with me, and we did it with Fogarty and, Wilson and a bunch of other famous people. And one of the acts was with a stadium DJ, rap act. And I got to see their show. And I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, look at LL Cool J at the on the Super Bowl. I mean, there's something to be said about a show. It's a show. It's not music. It's just music as a part of it. You know what I mean? It's a show. And I think that's kind of where we're going now. Is like the kids are so stimulated by video games. They're so stimulated by TV, and they're their handhelds and everything. They grew up with this stimulation. And if you're not a part of that media wave, you're kind of not. I mean, they're not going to sit there and look at Neil Young sitting on a stool and get real excited.
Down. Yeah, I know.
They're just not. I mean, unless they're unless they're kind of a post hippie strange kid that is kind of into it just for the for the kitschiness of it. It's just, those hippies, they were so great. And they used to, they sang all those little songs on acoustic guitars. Go look at that once in a while. Hear a poet, spilling his guts out with a Martin. There is going to be some kids that are going to appreciate that. But
although today's kids, they like nostalgia, because remember when they tried to redo Woodstock a few years back in, I think, the 90s or whatever? They tried to relive the whole.
And when you asked me the question, I thought about the Grammys coming up. Billie Eilish will go out there on a stool and sing a song with just a guitar. She'll do it. And she'll promote it, and it'll be heartfelt, and it'll be art. It'll be an artist and their audience connecting lyrically with poetry. That will never go away. So in a sense, that still lives on from our hippy dippy days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great. One question, and then I'll let Junior jump in there because he's had a couple of audio issues, and he's finally back with us. Welcome back, Junior. And you look.
How's that microphone now, by the way?
You look a lot clearer now.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I will not change where I live, regardless. I live.
I'm trying to convince him to move to Montreal. He's outside of Toronto, and you know how Montreal and Toronto.
Kenny, I am like 2 blocks from the water of beautiful Georgian Bay. And so sometimes, yes, these little technical things, they're a bit of a pain in the rear end, but I will not change where I live. I will not, because like I said, I'm a bassaholic, right? Are you a fisherman, by the way?
All the time. I'm fishing constantly.
Let's talk about that a little bit, please. I mean, it's another side.
Great smallmouths.
Right. So biggest fish you ever caught?
Biggest fish I ever caught?
Oh, yeah, bass-wise.
On a marlin. I was actually offered the marlin while I was in Mexico, but there was an older lady from Texas that was behind me in line, and I just gave the pole to her because, she was like 80, and I said, "You want to bring this in?" Because it wasn't a real big one. It was about 135-pound striper, and videotaped the whole thing, and I put it up on Facebook and social media, and of course I'm all through the video because I'm producing it, but I had her reel it in because it really, you just fight it with the motors. It's not really fishing. So that was the fish I assisted with. But the biggest fish that I catch are usually down in Mexico, and they're usually yellowtail, and they're in the 35 to 40 pound class.
Oh, geez.
And a 35 to 40 pound yellowtail fights like a 70 to 80 pound king salmon. I mean, that's strong. And I just did that, and I just caught some back in April down there.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, no, it wasn't April. So no. It was in it was in January. I just did it in January. Yeah. So those are the biggest fish that I've caught by myself, 35, 40 pound fish. And I haven't been to Alaska yet, so I'm sure I'll catch some bigger ones there. But I've never been to Alaska, if you can believe that.
Well, you got to know, because you guys played. I'm about a half hour from Casino Rama, which you guys have played.
Yes.
All right. Well, next time up, tag me. And listen, Ontario and Georgian Bay is worldly famous for bass fishing. You've got to know this, Kenny. So I'll take you out, man.
I know. I've heard all the stuff. So, yeah, the 1,000 Lakes or the 1,000 Islands or whatever it is. So,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know, Robert. That is my friend Steve Beam, who was a big DJ on radio here in L.A. many years ago at KFI, and he was a big announcer. Anyway, he goes fishing there for bass all the time. So he's told me all the stories.
Yes.
But yeah, I fish all the time. Sometimes I have my pole with me on the road. I'll fish after sound check, between sound check and going on stage. I'll be catching fish while I'm here in the opening act, warming up the PA, and I'll start fishing them, and I'll be taking pictures of them by the time I get back to put my face on. I'm showing all the guys in the dressing room, look, minutes ago, here, smell my fingers. In the old days, it would have been a different reason why you were smelling it.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's do the bass. Okay, just bass. Because bass story. My biggest, and I had first off, you got to have a witness, Kenny, and you have to have a picture. So mine is 8.5 pounds.
Oh, that's nothing.
That's bait, eh?
Hey, did you see this?
Hang on. He's got a picture. I bet you $50.
One of your other friends is popping in here, Johnny Ringo, and he says, "Ass fishing."
I thought,
and it says, "Oh no,
photo. I don't have it. I was going to show you a picture of a bass, but I've been clearing out my phone because I have so many damn pictures.
Well, of course, it's that's the
okay,
whole
Kenny.
point.
Here's a good joke for you. Next time you're out on the boat, okay? You tell them, "Have you ever heard the story about the one-armed fisherman?"
I mean, here's the lake trout that we catch like up in Idaho all the time.
Oh, see this. Hang on. You see what I'm saying, Bling? Oh, well, look at that. Oh,
about 35, 40 pounds too. So I catch lake trout, but they come in like carp. They're not like great fighting fish, you know.
right.
You know.
Okay, Kenny, are you ready? You asked somebody, said, "Have you ever heard the story about the one-armed fisherman?"
No.
You caught a fish this big.
Boo.
Oh, I got one for golf too.
Well, breaks 3 fingers yelling for help. Anyway, that's totally inappropriate. We can't do that.
No, we can't, because you never know who's listening. Like Barbie and Anne and Brian Fell, who that's a fish. Said that's a fish, definitely. And Johnny Ringo, our good friend from the Hikadelic show. Big fish.
So we're going to be in Canada in I think it's in August. We're playing Vancouver, and then we're on to stay in Canada. I'm going to go over and stay in Toronto with some friends, and then I've got a gig with the Native Americans up there because I'm associated with the Six Nations reserve there in Brantford. I don't know if you know about that.
Very well. Yeah, like I said, I am Métis.
Where Otsuikan is the reserve. Anyway, I have Mohawk blood in my family, so I'm tied with all them, and I'm going to do a show at Art Park in Buffalo on September 2nd for missing and murdered Indigenous women. So I'm doing a show here. So I'll be up in Canada hanging out. You guys are in. Let's see. You're in Ontario and you're in Montreal. So I'll probably miss you, but.
I know. What is it with Steve Miller Band? Why come these guys don't come here often?
Oh no, and then I'll be hanging out in there with all the international people.
I have to drive to Toronto to see you guys.
Yeah, I'll be there from like August 26th through about September 1st or something like that.
Okay.
I got to add the fish story though, Kenny. Okay, because it's not a story.
What is that?
Stop moving around. Okay, there you go. There's a nice bass. Yeah, those are about 8 pounds. I was going to show you one about that size, and I catch one right after another at a winery gig we do up in Sierra. It's that nobody fishes because it's really just sort of an idyllic setting for weddings and stuff. But nobody fishes it because it's private property. I go check and I'll catch an 8-pounder every cast.
Oh my God!
Why I got to go on stage?
Yeah,
Florida bass, so nobody's catching them because nobody.
We have. I'd love talk. I could talk fishing, get through it all anyway. But a lot of us in the industry seem to do that on the side or golf. But look here. See what I'm saying? This is. Oh my God! Look at that. Well, I have a fishing buddy, but if I ever get your way and vice versa, there. So that's. I love it. I just love it, Kenny. That's great.
You know what I like doing, eh? Grenade fishing. It's a lot easier. Boom! They float to the top.
So anyway,
Kenny's like, "What the hell is he talking about now?"
I'm also a sci-fi fantasy novelist. This is a book that's on Amazon that I sell. It's called Skeleton Dolls. It's like a Tim Brown meets Stephen King kind of thing. I'm actually searching for an agent right now because I wrote a sequel to this. Really interesting book. It's about twins that speak in their own twins speak language. If you've ever known any twins, especially identical twins, they speak in their own language sometimes when they're little kids.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is, and it's like tongues in church. Nobody knows what that is. And so in this book, I suggest that it's the original language of God prior to the Tower of Babel being destroyed in the Old Testament, when we all spoke the same language. It says that in the Bible. I didn't write that. But I take that story because it's based upon a true story. I met some twins.
Well, let's pause you for a sec. Though, put that book up there. And again, where can we get it so we can slow them down? Get this Skeleton Dolls. Of course,
Power is the first book of 3.
All right.
It's It's really cool. And I self-published this because I just wanted to see if I had the gene. And I come from a family of writers. My father was a writer. He had a published book once.
Okay.
And I'm trying to become a writer in the autumn of my years, so I don't have to be in the tour bus bouncing around on shitty roads, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I can do something else, So I'm shopping agents right now on the sequel of that. But if you want to read this one, just go to Amazon.com, Children of the Tower, Skeleton Dolls, Kenny Lewis, and it's both on Kindle and hard copy, and dig it. And if you're a sci-fi guy, you dig Dan Brown, you dig Stephen King, this is the style. I've even got a little Hemingway in there too.
Okay, this is your first novel.
This is I wrote this about 5 years ago, and it's for 7.
How many pages?
Huh?
How many pages?
Oh, it's big. It's like,
I know. That's what I'm saying. For a first novel, man, you really let it out there.
It's a serious book. I mean, this is a commitment. But the thing that's funny, the only complaint I've ever had on this book is that it ruins people's lives because they can never put it down. They can't have a life. They can't. They can't.
I thought that was Facebook.
The series that we see on Netflix and Amazon and Prime and all, I wrote this like that. Every chapter ends with a cliffhanger, so you got to go to the next chapter. It's the way I wrote it. This is my style. So that's another thing I do. And then, of course, I have my YouTube channel, which is Ken Lewis on YouTube, which I have a lot of lessons. I have a lot of interviews, just like they're doing with me here. I've done celebrity.
Yeah, that's what I was watching this week, the lessons and all that.
Lessons on there with a thing called Fret Friends, F-R-E-N-Z, fretfriends.com. It's also, a website to go to if you want lessons. Anyway, I've been doing that stuff along with trying to reinvent myself locally here with live gigs and stuff. And I work up in Montana too, because I have a cabin up there. I go to Montana and I work up by the Canadian border, up by the, just below Banff, off 93. That's where I have my cabin. I do gigs up there and get paid pretty good, so I'll be going there in July doing more dates. So this is the stuff that I've been doing. And if people want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me on my website, kennyleelewis.com. And go to the info section there. Send me an email there, and I'll put you on mailing list. We can talk, whatever, so you can get in touch with me there too.
So when was the actual last gig that you did, Kenny?
On the air, by the way. Sorry, Junior.
Instagram, there's a link tree, and on that link tree is everything you need to know. So,
we got a comment from Ann Travers.
Wow,
I wasn't sure whether or not to post it.
What's she looking at?
I don't know what you're looking at. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I think she's referencing to the book. I'm not too sure.
I would have to do something like that. My apologies.
We were talking last week's show about bringing a guillotine on the show or whatever, and she was all into it. So, I expected something like that from her. Well, that's big.
Did Trevor's question? Mm-hmm. Or is she just making commentary?
Oh, okay. She responded. Here we go.
Oh, she's
oh my God! It's the fish.
It's this long.
No, that's long. Remember?
Isn't that the story's the same though, isn't it? It's really this big.
Yeah. Picture the striper here, because of course I let the old lady bring it in, but but I've got big pictures of steelhead and another fish I've caught one. But like I said, most of the time they're in the 35 to 40 pound class, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so I have one other cool rock question for you there. Now you've played up in Canada many times and stuff like that. Now you've been inspired by a lot of groups. What's your favorite Canadian act?
Canadian? Oh, Canadian act. I'd say it's probably a combination between, of course, Rush. Was Mahogany Rush? Mahogany.
Frank Marino. Frank Marino. Mahogany Rush.
That guitar player, he was great too.
He's been on the show many times. I got him on speed dial. He's amazing.
Great. And one of my favorite Canadian artists, band in the 70s, he's also a co-writer friend of mine. We've written a couple of songs together. A guy by the name of John Finley. And he was in a band called Rhinoceros. And they were from Toronto. And to the 60s, that band. They were fantastic. If you haven't ever looked into them, guitar player in the band by the name of Danny Weiss. He also lives outside of Toronto. In fact, I'll be visiting with him when I'm in Canada. And for you youngsters, go on YouTube and just look up Rhinoceros and some of their stuff. They were kind of R&B blues, and they were really, really. I mean, they really embodied the American sound, but they did it in their own Canadian way, in a really good way. And they used to do, dates with, Hawkins and, Robbie Robertson, of course, who's a Mohawk like myself, and he that band with Ronnie Hawkins, and they were all part of that scene. And they used to cross over into Toronto, play up there and whatnot.
Yeah, the Horseshoe.
Because Robbie grew up at Six Nations Res. I mean, he did.
That's right.
He's a true Mohawk.
That's right.
Yeah, it's funny. I prior to all this, the last internet radio station I worked for was out of an Indian reserve in Montreal called Ganawage. And it was called mohawk-radio.com. And we had literally some punk rock online station sending us a cease and desist letter saying, because, their representation was like the Mohawk hairdo because of the punk rocker. And they were saying, but we were -radio.com, and they were trying to tell us. And I'm going, isn't that hilarious how some punk rockers who stole the Mohawk from the Mohawk Nation is sitting there trying to sue us for representing the real Mohawk Nation? You know what I mean?
Because the Mohawk hairdo that you see all the time, that's not the way they did their hair. A true Mohawk just had one little piece up here. And it was really long, but it was just this little piece here. Why? Because they didn't want to get scalped.
Exactly.
You wore little hair. What a shitty scalp that meant. So they just leave you.
Yeah, definitely.
And you might make it. So it was a life-saving reason why they didn't have all that big hair and stuff, Anyway, and another honorable mention, of course, Brian Adams. He's, great, fantastic. And his guitar player, Keith, what a great player. And then Bruce Cockburn, is that his name?
Bruce Cockburn.
Oh, boy, is he great. So those honorable mention to those guys, too.
Yeah. How about the Guess Who? How about the Guess Who? Burton Cummings and the Guess Who?
Oh, I know him. Yeah, of course, him. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about them. Yeah. Well, of course, Bachman's like family to us because
right.
He was really good friends with all those guys because he used to record at K. Smith Studios in Seattle and go back and forth. But I mean, and of course, we have a couple songs that sound a lot like, sound a lot like Guess Who. Anyway,
I didn't want to say, that's why I was kind of asking that.
Have you heard of the band Foot in Cold Water?
Yeah, but Burton, he's a great guy. We did there's a video on YouTube where he came backstage right here in my hometown here in Paso Robles. He came back and got in the bus with me and Steve, and we did a whole video with him. And he's great.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a band called Foot in Cold Water?
Sitting in cold water?
No, Foot in Cold Water.
In cold water. No.
They do the song "Make Me Do Anything You Want."
All right.
Track. Anyways, it's a great Canadian act again from Toronto. Anyways, I was just referencing it because Junior's, what was he? Your uncle was part of that band, or?
Yeah, they were all popular back in the day. It would have been the Horseshoe Tavern that the boys would have played, the band that you referred to in Toronto. My uncle introduced me to all these names. I'm this little guy and whatnot. That's how come I know of you guys at a younger age? I'm a little bit younger. I'm 61, actually 62 next month. But anyway,
here's my brother.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so that's what I say when you bring up these names in regards to Canada, that it was the uncle introducing me to bands like yourself and whatnot too. So that's why when I said earlier about being able to share the stories and hear them from a gentleman that was experiencing it and being part of, it's great to be able to do so, Kenny.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, it's an honor for you guys to want to let me be on here and let me share my story and bark my wares and, cry on the shoulder, I'm not working, or, it's okay. We're going to get back out this summer.
Yes.
It's going to be 70.
Montreal.
78. I think he's going to be 79 in
that right.
So,
Steve, we're not that far. It's Montreal.
There, man. I'm still singing in the original keys, and he's just amazing. He's like an Energizer bunny when he gets on stage, in the show. But I mean, he's still going, and no telling how long he's going to go. But I think Les Paul, I think he wants to bite it on stage. I think he wants to keep going until he drops. So
it's a tough call.
Just like Ozzy Osbourne, they hold him up with a stick. Now.
Yeah. He's in good shape. He's doing fine. So we'll see. But we'll do about 15, 20 dates this year. It's not going to be anything like the 50 we normally do. We've got Jimmy Vaughn opening for us on quite a few of these dates. So we're doing a lot of Texas blues, obviously, But it's going to be fun. And we'll be coming to, not your town, but we'll be coming to BC and somewhere. Maybe we'll do another Canadian date. Who knows?
Always get close to Montreal, like Toronto. Toronto always gets.
Well, we were booked in Hamilton last year, but it got all. Yeah.
That's right.
So that would have been right next to Six Nations.
So when was the actual last show that you did, Kenny?
Well, we've been doing shows. I mean, the last show we did was we did a show in Missoula, Montana. Believe it or not, outside of Missoula, on the I think that was in August last year. We did New York, and then our last 2 days we did Spokane. No, we did like right outside of Seattle, Spokane. No, we did the state fair. We did Washington State Fair, and then we did this gig in Montana. And those were the last two we did. I think those were in September. And
it's okay if you don't have the dates. It's because of with the shutdown and everything. It's really been different, Kenny. I mean, it's a first for all our careers. I mean, all of a sudden,
Omnicron hit, and Steve just went cancel everything else. I'm not going out until this blows over. And so when we're starting up again, we're doing 2 dates in Vegas at the Venetian, May 13th and 14th. And then on the 15th, we fly to LA, and we're doing a big festival in Redondo Beach. That's a 3-day festival, and we're closing it with Sheryl Crow, UB40, and some of those bands that are probably at the Grammys that I don't even know the name of. Lord Huron or somebody like that.
So I've heard the phrase, and take this the correct way. Now, is it for some the rock and roll retirement fund tour, Kenny?
Yeah, rock and roll retirement. Well, if I can get an agent, start writing. I just want to start writing. I'll just go to my cabin and stay locked up in there for a month and come out with a book.
Yeah. In the time frame, I have to ask this because I ask all because of that in the classic rock. Had you ever come across the original members of Leonard Skinner and/or the guys?
Simple Minds.
Yeah, this is Simple Man, Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner.
Yes.
No, they're kind of like Southern kind of. They run in a different pack than we do.
All right.
We probably shared dates with them. I'm more familiar with, Trucks Tedeschi. My friend used to be in 38 Special, Max, Carl Max.
All right.
A couple of Southern acts, Greg Allman opened it for us for a couple, for years.
Real Speedwagon. Yeah.
But I never knew one of those guys in Skinner. I never knew.
All right. Just curious.
Nope. Different bunch.
Because all of it's been so impactful, very much so. This is why I keep repeating it because of it still kind of matters, but yet in talking in the classic rock category, I brought up to a few of the guys that there was a time just prior that, as an example, Buddy Holly and so on, you don't hear it as much on the airwaves. And now classic rock, is it starting to come to that in your eyes, Kenny, or are you still finding it still out there?
Can you distill your question a little simpler?
Yes. Simply put, is the changeover happening with regards to the music like it has, like Buddy Holly and those before?
I think what you're trying to ask me is classic rock dying. Is that what you're asking me?
You know what? Let's go with that.
Okay. No, it's not. And the reason being is as long as baby boomers are still breathing air and getting up in the morning and taking nourishment, they're still going to want their rock show. They don't want to see it on TV. They don't want to listen to it on their device. They want to go live. They want to drink beer. They want to smoke weed in the front row. They want to have all those decibels hitting them, and they don't want to do it with some kids. I mean, maybe Greta Van Fleet or somebody like that, they could get that way. But I mean, still want that music, man. And plus, they want to relive the tapestry of their childhood. They really do. And until those people are gone, I don't think we're going to lose classic rock. I think it's still going to be huge until the artists are gone. And right now, there's still artists alive out there doing it. I mean, Jackson Browne just went on tour. Your 8 is going on tour.
Van Morrison.
God, I mean, these people are fossils. They're old, but people are showing up. Paul McCartney, I mean, they're all showing up. And people are paying $300-$400 a ticket to go see them. And then the Stones even more,
Yes.
They have no problem paying scalp tickets. They just want to go.
Yeah, I asked that for the obvious though, and the changeover and whatnot, and it's so nice because I want to hear the, kind of obviously your side and the, dare I kind of put the American side, because in my travels when I got back into the industry 2010 and on, I from Prince Edward Island, Canada to Vancouver, people still want classic rock.
Yep. And they don't even care if it's the original. I go up to Montana and I do classic rock with my band. And, of course, I have a little celebrity because I'm in the Steve Miller Band, but I go sing our catalog. Plus, I do other stuff that I like. And I do my originals. And, I sell out clubs up there and I get paid twice as much as I would in California. And so, and they don't like DJs and they don't want rap. They want classic rock, real musicians.
Nice. Okay, great.
Through real amps with real volume. Up in Canada, up at the Canadian border. And Canadians come over from Calgary to see my act. They cross over the border to see me play there in Montana.
Well, Kenny, definitely, I'd like you to send me a few tracks we can put on the station from your own personal stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear one of my classic bands, go to Fretfriends, FRENZ music.com. Fret Friends Music. That's a classic act. Now, I don't take that to Montana, but the band that I have up there is very similar. But you can see this is a cover band with originals.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear your originals because we're all about that over here.
Great, check out that. I mean, I have a bunch of acts. I'm in the middle of editing a video of a show I did last St. Patty's Day of my Latin jazz funk rock band I'm doing with a saxophone player from the band War. You're familiar with War?
Very much so. Yes, yeah.
I'm in a band with this guy Scott Martin. We're just doing a 4-piece. We have a who sounds like 3 guys, and we're doing music, and that I'm going to post this week, and that's a Latin jazz funk, San Francisco style, Santana meets, something else kind of band. That is another band that I do that's completely different again yet, but I still play all my Carlos Santana leads over the top of it, and it's fun, so I'm doing about 6 bands.
I was just about to say that. You know what? I'm watching you, Kenny, and it's like watching somebody like when they were still 18. You still have all that in you and whatnot. Hopefully, obviously your health is good to be able to do so as well. It's about the music. I mean, this is great to see, Kenny.
I'm actually going to the doctor tomorrow because I have a lump right here. I don't know what it is. So
dear, yeah.
And then, what you're seeing is Guatemalan coffee that I had just before we did this.
By the way, Kenny, I lived in Guatemala for 2 years. My ex is from Guatemala. So, and I know what you're talking about. Guatemalan coffee. I used to pick it right off the trees and bring it home and roast it.
Yeah.
Drive along the roads there. You just find bananas and coffee beans all over the damn
place. And then I'm in another band called Barflies, BARFLYZ music.com. You can go there and see the band my wife is in. And we do like kind of a cabaret, jazzy, poppy thing, with mashup.
Wow.
Great sax player, upright bass. We play the winery circuit in here. Go to that website. Check that out.
So when you said I'm going to reinvent myself, you didn't just do it with a little dipsy do. You went all out into this thing.
I'm at 3 or 4 different YouTube playlists, and I'm teaching. I'm teaching live in here. I'm teaching Zoom. I'm teaching master classes. I'm doing everything I can, and I even signed up for Skiller. Have you ever heard Skiller? It's out of New Delhi, India, and they were a vocal coach. I said, I'll sign up. I auditioned, I got it, and I'm still waiting to get a lesson from it, but I'm a vocal coach on Skiller. So
there we go. Cool. Hey, listen, if people are interested, and by the way, wouldn't you want to learn from somebody, like who has been playing his chops for such a long time and plays in such a really cool, great classic rock group? I think, learning your chops directly from the people who play the music is even better. Let us know where they can check you out to take some of them lessons, Kenny.
Well, you can just, like I said, just go to kennyleelewis.com.
That's it.
Anybody out
there, everything will be there, right?
Email and I'll hook you up. We'll do it over Zoom. You live on the Central Coast, which probably very few who are watching the show, but do them live here in the studio.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, listen, it's been a real great time having you on the show.
Thank you,
Kenny. And listen, your family now, so you have to come hang out with us more often whenever you get a chance or whatever. Once everything's back into it, like it would be cool interviewing you from backstage and stuff and seeing all the stuff that goes on back there.
No, the hell with that. We're going bass fishing, Kenny.
There you go. Or the great bass fishing trip in Ontario. Hey,
Berkeley, you got to get the Berkeley little fake fish that smell like this, and you put a little blackhead jig. Oh my God, they kill them. Get in the weed beds. Bam!
I'm a top water addict. A hula popper. Do you have one?
I used hula poppers when I was a kid, man.
Listen, guys, I'm not like I told this story every time Junior brings up fishing. Listen, my grandmother was from this place called Carrickett, New Brunswick, and she was raised in a fishing town, lobster, all kinds of stuff. And my grandfather used to go out and buy all the greatest lures you could find, every silverly, swiggly little wiggly thing. And my grandmother had a stick, a rope, a hook, and a worm, and she was pulling them out like freaking crazy. My grandfather was pissed. He couldn't even catch a fish, you know?
Well, I mean, that gets them every time. Fish love worms.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Would you love to have my grandmother still around to bring her on a fishing trip? Hey, watch this, boys. She's just like shooting them out of the water. Yeah.
Anytime at all, if you come to Canada, Kenny, it'd be a pleasure. You can just hook up through this. Well, I'll definitely get you out, maybe even with our famous Bob Azumi or something like that. So it's been a real pleasure to be able to talk with you. And of course, we look forward to your music coming our way in the nearest future as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after this interview, let's all exchange numbers and stay in touch. Obviously.
Yeah, that's it.
Be my pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. Thank you very much for coming on Indie Scene over here. We're going to continue on, folks. Now I'm going to play, I guess, a video, and
we have our next guest coming up.
And then we have our next guest coming up in just a bit. That is, of course, the Barstool Prophets, right? Confessions.
All right. Well, thank you.
We have senior moments too, Kenny.
I know.
Thank you, Junior. Really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, God bless you, and thanks a lot. Be well. Thanks for coming on.
Big witch.
And I'll be in touch with you in a little bit there, Kenny. All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks.
And Kenny Lewis, who didn't show up to the show, hey, I guess you could check this out later. So we'll say hello to him, and hopefully he jumps on next time and tells us what the hell that story was all about, because we have no idea. So there we go, folks. We're going to continue on now with a little bit of music videos. Let's see. What am I going to play? What am I going to play, Junior?
I don't know.
Here's what's really funny, Kenny. Before you go, we've had some great stars on the show, and if you notice, I didn't play any Steve Miller videos whatsoever. Right? Why? Because I've even had the bassist of Triumph on the show, Mike Levine. And I got flagged for playing his music. I said, how much more permission do you need, Facebook, YouTube, and the rest or whatever, than having the freaking artist on the show, you know? So,
well,
I walked it with the
and play Steve Miller Band live from Ravinia, which is in Chicago. Do Jetterliner. That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you want to play,
I'll get flagged. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Steve Miller Band, Ravinia, 2008.
Yeah.
Jetterliner. That's a good one.
And I won't get flagged?
Flagged?
Yeah,
No.
You get what I'm talking about. I'm talking about flagged as in like I get these messages. They'll block my video over here if I play.
So I don't think so. Try it.
Okay. We'll see what we can do there.
Back, I'll give you original songs.
Right now, here's a cool track. I'm going to play you a band called Vinyl Hero, and here's a remake of Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. You're going to love this. Check it out. Here.
You stay well, Kenny.
Yeah.
Your steam train, if you just laying down your tracks, you could have your aeroplane flying. If you'd bring your blue sky I'll be anything you need. You could have your Big Deborah bouncing up and down all around the bend. You could have your bumper car, Mom-head. This amusement never ends. But I wanna be your sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name and let me be your sledgehammer? Let this be my testimony. Show me around your fruit cage, 'cause that will be your honeybee. Open up your fruit cage. All the fruit as sweet as can be. I wanna be your sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name and let me be your sledgehammer? Put your mind to rest. I'm your sledgehammer. Let there be no doubt about it. Sledge.
I'm still looking at the bass pictures here that I was showing the boys. I told you, man, it's either golf or else it is fishing that has become so damn pop. I never asked you, are you a fisherman, Bling?
No, not really. You know what? I got in trouble a bit when I was younger, and grandfather, remember, he stood up in the courtroom when the judge said, "Oh, do we keep him in that place a little bit longer, or what?" My grandfather stood up. He says, "I'll take him." He goes, "What are you going to do, Mr. Robinson, at your age?" He says, "I'm going to teach him how to put a worm on a hook." I never got that wonderful moment or whatever. I did do a little bit of fishing with Grandpa, I think, when I was younger or whatever. But that was always getting tangled up, getting the hook caught on your pants and shit like that. So
what the hell do you do with your off time then? I don't know if you ever told me. What the hell do you do?
I don't really have off time, man. I'm presently doing a lot of rental work and stuff. It's crazy busy because COVID. Everybody has been sitting at home working and looking around and going, "Oh, I need to change this. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should redo the bathroom. Oh, maybe we should do this." And so it's just been insane. I'm booked all the way up until June doing rentals. So, mixing that with running the radio station, and my social life is not that big, man. But I like to go out and see a good band. And great bands. The first band that we were playing, Vinyl Hero.
You went out Friday night, right?
I went out Saturday night. I went to one of our sponsors, the Old Orchard in Point Claire. Amazing food, and it was great to be back in a normal environment again. Enjoying dinner with friends, and they had a good Irish band playing the old traditional music and stuff like that. So of course I asked them to play some Dropkick Murphys for me. And it was a fun time had by all. But we didn't get out to see Old Soul or whatever. Me and John both were having it right. Yeah. Well, John had to be up at 6 a.m. in the morning because
that's tough.
He of course runs as being a pastor or whatever. He takes care of a church over in Hawkesbury.
Right.
Just outside of Ottawa. And so he's got to drive up there every Sunday morning and so on and do a thing. Oh, it's that. Somebody's trying to reach you.
Like yours.
We're well aware that we have our guests sitting in the studio.
Yeah, the boys are going to click in there. I just sent them a message there. There they are getting in there now. So
popping in.
Click the duck. Click the duck.
Duck.
Yeah, they're right on time. They always are.
Oh, that's good. Right. Well, maybe we should tell them to change the name of the band to Right on Time. There we go.
No, hey, let's just bring the boys on so we can get
out. The other one, I'm having such a hard time getting it right. We want to give a big special thanks. I think we made a true friend, or you made a true fishing friend with Kenny Lee Lewis from the Steve.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool
abracadabra.
I want to reach out and grab you, Diana Ross. Now that is a story in itself. Now the whole world knows.
Yes.
So let's move on to our next guest over here, and I'll let you do the big intro. Tell us about this band.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've known the boys Jeff Hamilton prior to the music industry. He picked up a nickname back in the day, which we'll talk about. But it was kind of funny, but no surprise. But I mentioned that I ended up going to the Rock Pile back 2018 or 19. I think the boys can reflect on this, but they were going to be opening for Lee Aaron. And kind of a funny story with this. So I'm going to share, and the boys will laugh at this maybe. So all of a sudden, I'm just leaning against the bar, and I'm talking with, I believe it was Jerry Finn. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I see a guy walking towards me, and I'm downtown Toronto, right? Well, Etobicoke, actually. And I'm going, holy fuck. And it's Jeff walking towards me. And we had always talked because he used to come to my golf range, and we're big Rush fans and so on and so forth. And so I said, without knowing it, anyway, I said, so what the hell are you doing here? He says, so we're playing. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, we're playing today. We're opening. I said, oh my God, I'm sorry, Jeff. I just didn't put two and two together. So he goes, well, I've got something better for you. What, something like this? He goes, just hang on for this. He goes, hang on. He waves over his buddy, right? And I had met this guy in person, and he goes over, and Jeff says, this is really fucking funny. He says, Junior, this is Junior. So I had then met Paul Jr. and the rest we'll get into. So the boys have been doing very well in regards to some music, which we'll talk about in regards to their name and so on. So we did a festival last year, which we'll talk about. So Barstool Confession coming right up. Let's bring them on from out of Barrie, Ontario, Canada.
Hello.
There we go.
Paul's there. I don't know if the other guys made it.
They're all there. They're all waiting.
There we go. We're all here, man. We're
Here.
rocking and rolling all in one place.
Hey,
welcome aboard.
Yeah,
boys.
you know what? There's no surprise here that our drummer's late. The drummers are always late.
Hey, no,
Yeah,
I'm a drummer. Don't start, Buck. We have to set up first, right? So
Yeah.
That's it, eh? Yeah, that's the all the tweaking and the making sure the cymbals are just right and so on, right? Yeah. So welcome aboard, guys. I've heard a lot of great things about you. Welcome to Indie Scene here, and so tell us about the band, man. Tell us how long these guys been doing this and how you got started.
Paul, you gotta start this one. Oh, the biscuit just walked in. He's late. He's behind you.
Yeah, I just walked in. We started out. It was a bunch of us that were playing hockey, and we were sitting around having a couple of beers after, and as we do, because it's not about the hockey, it's about the after. And I said, I've always wanted to get together and play some music with people, and Jeff was there, and he said, I play the drums. And I said, oh, that's cool. Maybe we should get together. And a couple of the other guys, I play. So we got together, and we got a little spot called Loft Vegas. You can kind of see it in the background here. It's our little jam space. And before, when we first got started, it was really just a room with dirt on the floor, and we played a couple of times with that group, and then a Christmas party. I've known Buck for a little while, but never knew that he sang and played. And we got together at a Christmas party, and they had kind of an open mic thing, and I got up and played a little guitar, and he got up and sang and played some guitar, and the rest is really history.
Oh, wow, man. Hey, I'm just noticing your shirt. It's funny because it reminds me, we had the joy of having Rob Halford on this show at one time before Junior started co-hosting. And he had this shirt on, which is very similar to that. It was a cat with two pistols. It was a cartoon of a cat with two pistols. It said, pew, pew, motherfucker. Which I thought was hilarious. I said, Rob, you got to tell me where you got that shirt, because I just got to have it, But this one says what? Pew, pew.
Just says pew,
pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew.
Over
pew. There we go. Something Alex Lyson would wear, wouldn't it?
Pew, pew, pew.
Definitely. So yeah, and So this is your lead singer over here, right?
Which one is it known?
This one.
No, this gentleman.
No, it's me. Yeah, I mean, I knew Paul through our wives worked together, and I was in a band when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and left music, and kind of took a 25-year hiatus from it. And when Paul said at that Christmas party, started playing with him there, and just got the bug back in me. And then we kind of started as a bit of a garage band, really. And then it just, as Junior was explaining to you, meeting Biscuit, and I said getting open up for Lee Aaron, kind of just opened the door for us to kind of keep playing. And then COVID hit, and we thought, you know what, this is a good opportunity after 2 years of playing. I mean, we should talk about Brian too. Brian came into the band after our initial bass player was in there for a little bit, and Brian joined about 2 years ago and brought us up to a whole new level. He's an amazing bass player, and just definitely inspired us all to be better at what we do. And when COVID hit, we couldn't play anymore, so we just decided maybe this is the time to start writing our own songs. And that was a great experience. I mean, because truthfully, I mean, it's great to be a cover band, but it's really nice to play your own music, right? So that was something that I think we've all got the bug now. We just recently wrote a new single because we were all kind of, the first one came out around this time last year, our EP, and then we just needed to start writing again. So it's, we just kind of keep trudging forward to try to keep getting more and more gigs and stuff like that. So.
And the craft is coming along too. Yeah.
I just realized.
I was drinking here.
So,
Hey, Buck,
Junior,
I just realized.
welcome back.
Well, real quick, Brian, could you run a fucking new computer over to my house real quick, please? Because I see that Biscuit is in Barrie. So hurry.
Hurry.
Yeah.
I wish I had one I could send you.
Yeah, it's been a pain. I don't know. As I say, there's something. Your internet's okay over in Midland?
Yeah, we're good here. Yeah, we're rocking.
Oh well, either way. So how are you guys?
We're good, Junior.
Good, man.
All good. We're jamming. It's good. We got the gigs are starting to line up. Buck had a nice week off down south, and now it's time to get back to work soon.
Yeah,
it's not work.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
work.
it's time to work.
I'm not sure how much you guys covered with regards to me being off there a minute ago. So we did an interview not long ago, and the lady was very impressed with when I thought it was a funny story last year at the festival that Brian, you walked up to me and you handed me this.
Yeah.
And I said, "What the fuck are you giving me a cassette for? I don't even have a cassette player."
Yeah. Well, that's the wonderful. That's all Paul. He's got the marketing genius, and that's the first thing you think is a cassette. But then when you really look at it, it's like, no, that's the most modern as you're going to get. Open it up, it's a flash drive for all you know.
Yeah, that's what I want to show the audience this with regards to, of course, just because of. So what I'm holding, folks, because we air this audio-wise, guys, on Sunday as well. So I'm holding a cassette that has, as Brian said, a thumb drive to it, and this is a great marketing tool. I mean, phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love it. This is great.
And also you can order it. Well, eventually we're going to have it part of the merch collection at some of the shows, but you can also go to the Barstool Confession website and you can order it on the merch and we can send it out to you. So it's good. We also got vinyl came in too. So for the old school.
Yeah. Well, you got it all. And well, actually over my shoulder here, old Junior's going to reach back here. Give me a sec.
We got lots of swag, Junior. I'm not going to lie to you.
Again.
Okay, boys, here's what it ends up being. That Buck, the T-shirt that you gave me, it must be so fucking popular. Somebody stole it from me.
I got to be honest with you. Those I got to tell you something about that shirt. Paul's a bit of our graphic designer. The
right.
behind Paul and Junior there. I mean, this you can see the heads kind of hidden in there. But those 3 or 4 heads have become very popular because it's unique. And Paul and I went to a concert. He was at a concert at Molson Amphitheater last summer. Was it last summer, Paul? I think it was. And then we went back a week later, 2 weeks later, and the guy that was shuttling us across on the boat at the back of the amphitheater recognized the shirt because it just so. Paul's kind of like, as Brian said, the marketing genius when it comes to logos and stuff. So it makes it.
Plus, of course, you gifted me a hat as well for my golf game.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're gonna have to gift you a new shirt. You lost the other one, so.
Yeah, well, we'll be working on that. So, but I really want to talk about because we talked only briefly because we were doing our roles last year at that festival about you guys have been getting some great airplay with regards to the latest single that's been going on for you guys, Place Our Own. And I might add, produced by the famous Michael Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. He did a really good mix on it. It was good. It was real fun.
We're pretty jacked.
Yeah, that one was written differently too. I mean, the first EP, we put the first EP together. The way we wrote it was a little different. Place Our Own was definitely written together because COVID made us write apart the last time. I mean, I did parts at home and everybody kind of did it. And then we did get together periodically and record around the COVID restrictions, but Place Our Own, we actually did it a little different. We conceived the song, conceptualized the song, and then we got together and jammed it out and really found our parts and then recorded our parts. Whereas during COVID, we just kind of wrote the song and just started doing our parts and never really jammed it out until after it was recorded. So I think all the guys would agree. We felt that one had a little bit more life to it because we put it together and played it together lots before we actually recorded it. So it
was a different way this time because, like you say, because of the restrictions lifting and that, we actually had a chance more to, instead of just hashing out at home and doing your homework and then we're recording it and then laying down your tracks and then going from there.
this time we did that. But that back and forth was still happening. Buck would always be sending an MP3 for you to work on and work out your things and listen to it. But then there was more time to actually hash it out at the jam. So then you could, which is a whole different feeling because you're playing it right off the floor. You got the feel. Sure. You can feel that MPEG right behind you. You know what I mean? Because everybody loves that. You got to have that feel, right? That was helping.
How do you guys approach your writing? Is it the music that you guys practice? I think you said every Tuesdays or something. But is it a certain riff that you play that all of a sudden, that's catchy, or is it a drum beat by Jeff or something? Or what's your writing process?
It's not
a bit of both. I mean, most of the inspiration on the first one was Buck going absolutely crazy and just spewing ideas and sending out the MP3s and going on it. And then like each of us would bring back our own, like I'd bring back a bass line, write a bass line, and he'd send it back and say, I need less of this, or I need more of this, or he wouldn't say anything at all. And the same thing, Paul would start slapping down some lead work for it, or, and doing different harmonies. And, Jeff, he would just take Buck's bass drum beats that he would send out with a backing track, and then he would take it from there and expand on it. And lately we've been doing we'll be at a practice and a jam will kick in, and all of a sudden there will be some riffing happening, and hey, that sounds good, put it in the back of the mind for later for something else. And Buck is still throwing out these ideas for the MP3. So it's sort of like
we lost Junior again.
A bit of a mix, it's basically a mix of that.
He's, you know what, Bling,
I gotta get him a computer.
Pay for his internet, for the love of God.
God! Even that, I just think because he loves living up in Georgian Bay and he's straight so rural or whatever, that I don't think there is any better internet that he can get out there.
I don't know. We have no problem with our internet. We're in Midland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, like I said, I think he's got a Commodore 64 and
possibly. Yeah. Well, you saw the show last week, I guess, eh? Yeah, that came up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Answering his question, it's just we definitely are finding our way of writing more efficiently together, and definitely. I mean, the truth is, let's be honest. If you want to start playing and opening for big acts, and you can't be playing cover tunes. You gotta be playing your own music, and
you got to really move up on your number of original.
No, I did talk about this on last week's show with the previous band, and one of the biggest issues with any sort of indie band that's trying to rise up in the music industry is where you play. Have these guys sprouted out outside of Ontario and worked their way across Canada and other places?
No. I mean, we definitely know we have to go out and tour a bit to get our music heard a little bit more. It's great being played on Rock 95 or 89.1 Max, and it's being played on internet radio. That's all great, but the truth is, we do have to do a bit of a tour, even if it's a weekend tour or a week tour. Every once in a while, pop out there. The challenge is we all work too, right? So, and we have families, so it's very difficult to hop on a bus.
Well, definitely, there's going to get to that point where you're going to have to make that sacrifice and give up what you got just to go and live that glory for a little while and stuff. And that also could be like a huge bump in the road for most bands and stuff. Like I've seen bands, that were really at the edge of success or whatever, and it's just like, were they willing to give up the day job and stuff for 2 years to go and tour and so on and so on? It all depends on where you're going with it. But the reason why I asked that is because that's one of the biggest things is, and I mentioned it in last week's show, is that a band will stay in their rural area. They'll play like 5 or 10 different clubs or whatever, but when you're inviting your crowd out at the beginning, everybody's going to come out and support you, but then slowly along the way, you're going to start diminishing the crowd. Why? Because I've seen this show last week at another club and so on, and so if they're true fans, they don't give a shit how many times they come to see you or whatever. But the general crowd or whatever, and so to build the audience, you have to go outside your city. You have to go out and do dates in Winnipeg or Calgary or different get out there.
Well, I tried to get him down to Mexico with me last week, but nobody had come. So, but it is true, and I think that's the challenge: is we do have to hit the road, and even if it's weekend here and a weekend there, and start slowly branching out. and that's definitely something we've talked about, and we need to start thinking about it. Listen, we've been together for 4 years, and the one thing I'm going to say that I love about this band is that we're all friends. And I hear other bands that start as friends, or they are friends, and there's issues and stuff. But we love jamming together. Like, I hear a lot of bands, they don't rehearse a lot once they've got their foundation. But our Tuesday night is our rehearsal night, where Paul and Biscuit are right now. And it's our little man cave. It's actually not little, but it's a beautiful rehearsal space. And I look forward to Tuesday nights more than any other night of the week, because I want to play music with these guys. And I believe they feel the same, and that's what keeps us going.
I did make a couple of notices or whatever. You got a lot. You look like Chuck Norris, dude. And doesn't he?
Who, Brian?
Yeah, am I right? Yeah, but doesn't Buck look like Chuck Norris? Yeah, he does.
He does.
And not only that,
maybe I'll be Chuck instead of Buck.
Hey, and. Anyways, Junior sent me this picture of the band and stuff, and it was not hard to see that who's the gentleman next to Paul Jr.?
Biscuit. That'd be Jeff Hamilton.
Yeah, Biscuit. In the picture, everybody's just laughing up a storm, and he's the only guy sitting there smiling or whatever. So he must be the funny one in the band, and I'm wondering why he's being so quiet right now.
I've been told to be quiet.
Yeah, that's good, eh? Because we get you going, it's pretty much
Yeah,
he's the funny one, all right.
It's a 2-hour interview.
Oh, yeah? Definitely, yeah.
No, they all have their moments and sense of humor. They're very grounded guys. And again, these guys know I don't blow smoke up fucking anybody's ass, but no, they're a pretty good bunch of guys. I think that's why I like the name of the band that they changed a little while ago, but to Barstool Confession, because, oh my God, the stories that can be told, eh, guys?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I still like the other
Are these guys willing to share one or two of those stories?
I don't know. Might get us divorced, so I better. No, they're not that bad. I will say that the name of the band started. Paul came up with the name of the band back in the beginning. He might even be able to turn his camera and show it. It was called Scruffy Buck and the Bad Dads.
I love that.
What? Scruffy Buck and the Bad Dads?
That was our bar band, or our garage band name, and that's the original banner right there.
Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that.
And I was like, I just hated the name. I don't like bands that name themselves over the singer. It's a team. Nobody's name should be up front, and I couldn't stand it. And I just didn't think it'd be taken seriously if we wanted to start recording. So then Paul and Biscuit actually came up with the name Barstool Confession.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah.
Yes, please do.
So we were here that night coming up with band names, right? I'm a huge Dream Theater fan, so there is a connection here. So JR knows Kev, right?
Yep.
Kevin Levine. So we're sitting here one night coming up with these band names, and we were this close to calling the band Barstool Warrior or something. Something like because we like the whole, you go to the bar, get some beer in you or whatever, and all of a sudden you're a little bolder, you're a little this, you're a little that. So
Warrior, can't be tall and bulletproof, basically, right?
Yeah. So then we said, kind of a little aggressive, whatever. And then we started, well, what else do you do at the bar? Well, who do you confess your sins to other than, the vicar? You confess your sins to your bar.
Right.
So then it became, where the irony is the very next day, I go to work, and I'm a big Dream Theater fan. It's when they're not the album that just came out, but the previous one. One of the tracks on that album was called Barstool Warrior.
Oh.
Like they had released just the track listing of the names of the songs. And I couldn't believe it. Like we came that close to picking that name, and it was going to be one of the tracks on the newest Dream Theater album. I thought that would have been kind of cool. Now, what they did was they hired a microbrewery in New York State. Dream Theater did, and they have their own beer called Barstool Warrior.
No.
Yeah, so it would have been really.
There would have been some trademark issues.
Yeah, well, well, either that or you could have, totally evolved yourself around Gene Simmons' way of doing things and pretty much already had free marketing.
I was good with the name. I thought Paul and Biscuit came up with a good name, but I still was sticking by my name, Whisker Biscuit. I thought that was going to be a great name.
Whisker Biscuit.
It was either that or bearded.
I gotta hang out with you and have a beer a couple of times, man.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like he's got quite the creative side to him.
Lost Junior again.
Is he there?
He fell off the bike.
Oh, he's good. By the way, trust me, he informed me that last week when this happened, the same thing. He says he's probably never made as many cuss words, and he even made up some new ones.
Yeah,
as he just dropped out each and every time. So
all he's got to do is call Rogers or Bell, and they'll set him up.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. The name thing is good. I definitely. The funny thing though is we definitely play the Barrie area. I don't know if I was aware of it. Maybe you guys were. But once we named the band, then we started getting out and doing gigs, and now we're playing a bar. We play the Queens on a monthly basis in Barrie, and are on a rotation. And there's another band in the Barrie area called Barstool Academy that's been around longer than us. And that's becomes a little confusion for people. Some people will show up at our show thinking they're there to see the other band, or vice versa. And they're good guys, and I don't think either of us are willing to change our name, but they have said, hey, maybe we should get together and do a Barstool weekend and just play together.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So,
well, look, if I can make a suggestion to you, one of the cool places that's still, because there's not a lot of clubs here in Montreal and stuff that have stuck around, shall we say. So there's a very limited amount of bars and stuff that host bands and stuff. But one of the coolest places for you guys, if you want to get booked over here and do your first show. Have you played Montreal yet, or?
No, not yet.
You should check out a place here on the West Island of Montreal called Kelly's Orchard.
Okay.
It's part of the Old Orchard group, and it's a small little venue and stuff, a good start, but what a great Irish crowd. It's an Irish pub type of thing, and you know, lots of bands that have broke out of Ontario have played there. One of them was Superstone out of Cornwall, a gentleman by the name of Kelly Heenan and stuff, who was a past guest on the show. You know, this show has been running for, no joke, 35 years. Supporting independent music and stuff. I've been doing this a long time. It was really, you know, when I look back, I go, wow, that went fast. You know, it's having all types of, and it's really cool to see now some of the bands that we had started off with evolve and, you know, are now signed artists and stuff. Me and Junior had an artist on a couple of weeks ago by the name of River Brooks. And we had to drop the video literally because she was signed by Sony Music Canada recently, and they flagged all her freaking videos that we played on the show.
Oh, terrible.
Junior, you there?
I am. So, Brian, you're retired. Get your ass over here tomorrow and help me fix this, or throw it all over my balcony, please.
Yeah, that's the least computer savvy person. You're asking me for the help. Yeah.
Listen, you're telling me that? I remember my first experience with Junior. Okay, it was like this. Okay, Bling, show me how to, and I would say, okay, Junior, and he goes, hold on, let me finish. And then, and then I would go, okay, no problem. I let him finish. And then after he goes, okay, so what do I do? I go, okay, you're going to click here. And from there, you're going to go to here. And he's like, oh, no, slow down. Hold on a minute. Hold on. You're going too fast. I'm like, oh, fuck. This is like teaching my mom how to use the damn computer type of thing. So, yeah, he's an amazing DJ. But when it comes to tech savvy stuff or whatever, he's had the cushiony mainstream job for too long, having the technician doing all the board for you, Junior?
I guess that's it. That's what it's all about. So, really quick. Again, I apologize for the internet interruption type deal. I've been looking forward to talking with you guys.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, Junior. We love you, man.
You guys have had some gigs recently as well.
Yeah, lots on the go. Is that, you know, I'll tell you, I was just talking to somebody today that was looking at booking us, and I actually said we're at that point where we're almost booked solid right through till September.
Oh, wow, that's great to hear.
It's just we can only fit so much into the summer, and between now and then, like lots of little dates here and there still open around the spring, but yeah, it's nice when you can actually turn some gigs down. Not that you want to turn them down, but opposed to begging for gigs, it's nice to be able to say, sorry, we're not available right now. So
we really got to thank everybody on now, because we're really lucky in that sense that we've been able to secure those dates and that.
Yeah,
a lot of people out there are really fighting to get the time out there, and we're really lucky on that sense.
Oh man, imagine it's like releasing, like the Hoover Dam or whatever. Hey, when it comes to like gigs and everything, it's like, imagine that thing broke and the water came up. That's pretty much what you're getting right now, because all these bands have been sitting throughout COVID and stuff and not doing any gigs, and now everybody's all coming out at once, and it's got so much to say now.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands in the Barrie area too. I mean, Barrie's a pretty music heavy city. A friend of ours is in a band. They released an EP about a year ago too, and they played a lot around the GTA and almost got signed by Sony years ago. And he actually said not long ago, he's like, this city's just there's so many bands, it's hard to get gigs. So there's only so many live venues. So we're very fortunate, and we know that, and we're going to enjoy it while we can, because you just never know how the world changes. And but we just, it's fun playing music together, and we found a good balance, because you don't want to get so busy too that it becomes monotonous. I think you want to find that good balance and stuff as well.
Well, these guys are coming from a great historical past, Junior? Like bands like Tragically Hip out of Kingston, Ontario. Many bands, Rush, Triumph, so on. There's a big legacy of bands that have come out of Ontario. Huh?
You just hit a really big mark there. Everybody's a huge Rush fan, except for maybe
of course,
one.
Myself too. That I was joking. It was really funny. Junior was saying, I said, everybody has in common at the radio station here, and he goes, "What? They're all bald?" Flashing cut his hair. So we decided to sell locks of his hair now on the merch site. Yeah. But no, I said it's that every single DJ that works for us here, they're huge Rush fans. And I myself am a huge Rush fan coming back. Well, I can't say huge, because I did feel guilty about dropping off after Signals, I was early old school Rush fan. I like all the old school stuff, but as the Signals, when there was too much keyboard stuff coming in, I didn't buzz.
I hated them in high school, and I've learned to love them as I got older.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you like Clockwork Angels?
Nope, didn't even listen to it. I literally dropped off after Signals.
Just said that you like pre-Signals Rush. There's maybe 5 keyboard parts on that entire Clockwork Angels album.
Yeah? I'll have to check it out then. Yeah. I did see the drum kit. The drum kit is impressive. They were selling those drum kits during Clockwork tour and everything. It's really nice. All gold trim and the whole works, and shit.
Nice. The snares were really expensive, and they're real collector items now.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't forget their Biscuit. I've got that. It's right over my shoulder. That LP, that promotion one that you can't buy. Right? Remember, the price has gone up though.
Yeah. So what? No, we can't discuss that.
No.
And of course, his famous Neil Peart drumstick, which he always pulls out every show.
Well, there's that.
Pulls out of where?
Yeah. Well, you guys know the story.
It's like his Harry Potter stick.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Oh, he's frozen. He's frozen. We're gonna lose.
I can't tell if it or not. If
That's awesome.
If it's a ProMark 747, and it's all frayed right around the little black band on it, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's just funny watching.
When he comes back in, it's great watching these wonderful freeze frames of Junior, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love him, man. That's it. Yeah, we definitely got to get him fixed up.
Well, hey, I like your style if you're thinking about telling us some great spots in Montreal, because we definitely have to find a way to.
Oh, definitely. Listen, the one thing that me and Junior have been doing is talking about a lot of cross promotions. Like, we're trying to get bands out of Montreal over here into the Toronto scene. and at the same time, trying to get bands from Ontario into the Montreal scene, because I think it's time for a change up. We're tired of watching like the local bands over and over again. It's great to see bands from other places.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of that when I was living up in Calgary for a while. They used to have this place called the Blind Beggar, and you would see bands come in from Vancouver and from Saskatchewan and all over. It was pretty cool. And the one thing I thought was really funny about Calgary and out there, it was like, how we have this rivalry between Montreal and Toronto. It's not our fault that your stadium is built on top of an Indian burial ground, but
you got a seat on your
but basically what I'm trying to say is, they had that Toronto Montreal rivalry, and I was so shocked that like it was our equivalent of the Super Bowl or whatever over here. What do they call it? The Grey Cup. Yeah. And they had Calgary fans cheering for Saskatchewan at the time. And I was like, yeah, man, it's like Saskatchewan and Calgary all like lovey-dovey and stuff. And it says us in Montreal, if it was like the Argos playing against the Alouettes or whatever, there'd be some serious rivalry going on, In fact, they even have DJs that call up each other from Toronto radio stations to Montreal radio stations and make bets that like, oh, if our team wins or whatever, you're going to have to, wear this on your head or whatever, or paint your body.
You're wearing our jersey. Yeah. You're wearing the jersey.
Yeah. Okay, so Junior, you have to bring that stick back up because our good friend over here knows the detailed qualities that we're looking for to make sure that this. Yes. So as they do on Pawn Stars, we are going to now make sure that this is the real thing.
We all know how real that is.
Is it?
There
is it
we go.
On the band on the 747 there? Is it frayed?
Yes.
It is frayed right there.
Yeah, the girlfriend cleaned Neil Peart's mom's cottage.
Yeah.
And she was gifted this. And 747 and his R on the R40 tour.
Yeah.
Pro Mark.
Yeah. And it's all chipped up right around the band, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that
and
was
also to be
fault.
fair, her dog got at this as well, Biscuit. So, but yeah. Anyway, we could go on and on about Rush for a while, just in case this cuts out. First off, I apologize. This interview meant a lot to me to talk with you guys, so I do apologize. But in your last CD, we talked about Michael Jack. How did you guys come across Michael Jack? And if this cuts out, just continue on. And once again, I apologize so much, guys. So how did you hook up with Michael Jack?
It's a pretty simple story, actually. It's pretty funny. And we
but you better mention to fucking Bling there. He has no idea who Michael Jack is and the resume that he has. So let's go with
his resume is huge, Bling. He's produced the Trues, the Rush. He's worked with Bono. He's worked with Big Sugar, a number of big Cher, Anne Murray, a lot of Canadian artists, Nelly Furtado. And so I actually happened to look at a pedal, a course pedal online on Facebook Marketplace, and went over to visit this guy to buy this pedal, and got talking to him and got talking music, and found out his name was Michael Jack and who he was and what he did. And he's very modest. He just works out of his house now. He worked at Metalworks and now there's all kinds of studios, and just does a lot of his stuff out of his home studio. And that's the pedal right there. We wouldn't sell it because that's how we recorded our first album, our first EP. Bought that course pedal off him, and we were just recently putting all our stuff up for sale that we're getting rid of, and that one had to go over and be saved because it's kind of how we ended up. Hey, I mean, he produced it and mixed it, and our first song, "Hold Your Ground," ended up on the radio and in the top 30 on 89.1 Max FM. And I'll never forget hearing it for the first time on the radio. I actually teared up to hear our song on the radio.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah,
on the radio.
Yeah, come on, man. That's one of the. We ask that question all the time to sometimes even the big acts, who've been around for years. Like, what was it like hearing your song for the first time on the radio? It'd make anybody tear up, man.
I was during COVID. I sat at home in my office and literally tears came to my head. It's true. Like, and I was like, I didn't expect that, but it was like, holy shit, our song's on the radio. And then to hear it continuing to play on the radio, and even hearing our new song on the radio always means good. I mean, if it gets on the radio once, so much.
So there you go. And listen, this show's not only just about finding yourself a niche audience and all that stuff, but it's also about indies learning from each other and stuff. And that is something that I would like to direct out to some of the indie bands who are starting off and listening in. That hey, hard work and perseverance does pay off.
100%.
And you will have that moment where you will be hearing your song on the radio.
Yeah, and it's in focus, right? I think every band goes through peaks and valleys where I think even Rush or whatever, they have a great album or a great song, and there's a couple that aren't so great or don't get on the radio. I just think that you got to just accept that you just keep writing and keep just moving forward and don't let it get you down.
And back then they got lucky because they got themselves a DJ who really enjoyed smoking.
Yeah.
Because
right.
I know what I'm talking about because I'm a smoker, I'm a DJ, and sometimes like when you're live on air and stuff, like right now I'm having a major craving, but you're always looking for those long tracks in order to go out and have yourself a quick cigarette. Gotta be at least 7-8 minutes, and back then it was like 3-4 minutes. And so Rush, that's how they made their debut or whatever. It was in Seattle, a woman playing and it was Working Man. Yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah.
And it was the song Working Man, as you know. And it's just those just by surprise moments. So you never know who'll be listening to you or what and when. And one of the reasons why we're around is because of that mainstream doesn't support indie artists as well as they do. So to get that level, I think that's the reason why you teared up, man, because to be able to get that level, which I think they're all full of shit, by the way, with their big egos and stuff. But that's the difference between indie radio and mainstream radio, But one of the reasons why I started it was because you guys weren't getting the airplay that you deserve off of mainstream stations and stuff. And Junior, as you know, has been through the system himself, and he'll tell you, he's like, we get told what to play, get told what to say, and so on, and don't really have much to say about what gets played on air, even though we probably run into, hey, like I saw this really kick-ass great band. They got their own original tunes. Wouldn't it be nice to play it on your show the next day, Junior? Boom. No, So it's
we got to get their their music to the station there and get it played and whatnot too. So
absolutely. You tell us, we've got all the files we can forward to you, all ready for the radio versions.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give you the information there after the show. And
I made a decision, boys. I'm moving the fuck out of Penetang because of the internet alone. I'm moving to Midland.
Come to Midland. We have real internet.
Yeah, there we go.
So anyway, I want to apologize again because this goes to audio, like I say, played on Sundays. We really appreciate you guys taking the time. It means a lot, regardless. And you guys know how much I support your band and other bands locally. So we're looking forward to. I guess we have a festival coming up in September. So I look
forward to Festival,
guys, and hopefully maybe even before that.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff coming. I mean, definitely. Great to plug the Georgia Bay Festival. As you know, Junior, he was our MC last year. We're getting to play again this year at the Georgia Bay Festival. It's the second year. It was a very successful first year. It's a great venue in Tiny Township near the shores of Georgian Bay. It could, very, very much like a mini Burroughs Creek, and has the potential to be a very great festival as we continue to grow with it. But yeah, this year we're getting to open for the headliners, which is Texas King. And if you haven't heard of Texas King, they're a band out of London, Ontario, getting a lot of radio play, really great music, has a bit of a sound of Kings of Leon. Really, that's kind of how.
Right.
That sounds pretty Celtic in a way, the name?
Yeah.
I'll put it out there because the other Junior won't, and it's on the Paul Sadlin stage.
Yeah, the Paul Sadlin stage, yes. So it's great. I mean, going to be a different year. Junior, you're going to see it's a different year this year because last year being the first year, there wasn't a lot of structure in the organization of the flow of music. This year, the game plan is working with Las Vegas Productions is to make sure that the music flows more accordance to from your folky acts early day into the rock show at night. And that's the game plan. So, really we've got Dylan Locke out of Midlands going to be playing midday. Kat Shabbat, who's an acoustic girl out of Barrie. Carl Rundown Band out of Innisfil is playing. near the end of the day, and then ourselves, we're closing, and then Texas King, and then there's a couple tribute acts as well. So it should be a great day, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, lots of great shows before that, but the other, it's just good, and it's your involvement, and it's great, and I think you'll agree it's a great park.
Okay, I real quick, two of the reasons if my computer cuts out, and the other is just to make sure it's out there. So to get a hold of information with regards to Barstool Confession, how can they reach out you guys?
www.barstoolconfession.com. Everything there about us is on our website. It's not confessions, it's confession. And if they put barstoolconfession.com, you'll get our music, our all of our where we're playing, when we're playing, our Instagram page, everything you need to know about us. So
all your social media links and so on.
Yeah. It has all the links.
And beautiful pictures of Paul and Biscuit. There's one of Biscuit in his Speedo. So everybody.
Oh, no. How come that isn't in the commercials there, Paul?
He's got a six-pack. I actually think Paul's frozen right now. Look at Biscuit's face. They're definitely frozen right now.
He's got that. He's
oh my God, I feel
smiling
better now all of a sudden.
He's got that big Paul Jr. smile on him.
They're definitely. But hey, you know what? It's since they're frozen, it's the website's got everything we got. We even got merch on the website. I'll be honest with you, nobody buys from the website. I don't think people want to log and they'd rather come to the shows. But we. I'll tell you what, you come to our shows, Biscuit, you're going to find, they're back. You come to our shows, we're throwing shirts out to the crowd now. We're walking through the bar handing out our shirts to get that bling out there. So,
hey, look, there's two of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It can only take one.
Well, yeah. Okay, so you got cut off during the part where we were talking about your pictures of you in a Speedo.
Yeah, I said, if you go to our website, there's a picture of Jeff Hamilton in his Speedo.
Hey, smuggling grapes.
No. It's you.
We
get that for our birthday. We get a picture of Buck in his Speedo on our birthdays.
Should I show them the monkey video? No, I don't.
No.
I like to try to keep.
You know what my favorite impression of my favorite impression of a monkey, I think, has to be Chris Kattan. Did you ever see when he used to do that monkey act on Saturday Night Live? Oh my God, hilarious! Especially when he does the part, where the monkeys always nibble at the bugs inside each other's hair. It's like,
yeah, he was pretty great.
I was like, oh my God, this guy's sick.
Yeah, it's great. If you hopefully everybody has a chance to check out the website, and we're on Facebook and that stuff too. But Instagram. Really, the website.
Yeah.
Also, the videos are up on the website. Everything's on the website. It's actually a really good website.
Junior's asking me to go up to this, check out this Georgian Bay Festival and stuff like that. So I might make my way out. I'm not too far. I'm just off the border of Ontario and Montreal. I'm in Vaudreuil near Hudson Dorion type of thing. So, take a little drive.
I think it'd be great.
That's if my old battle axe makes it. I got an old 2005 G6. So
G6. I can change that.
Yeah, he can change that.
I know. I heard
my side gig. I sell cars.
Yeah, there we go. Now that was totally a car salesman line right there. Right? Boy, have I got a deal for you, mister.
Well,
I don't have the white shoes on right now, but
well, if you get out, Bling, that would be good. It's a great festival. I mean, last year they expected 500, 600, 700 max. The park holds 10,000, and they had 2,200 go through the gate year one with no real structure.
And that was actually the COVID restriction.
Yeah,
but I don't worry about that because you see, I'm expecting that I'm just going to be standing around on the side stage or whatever, checking out what's going on because we're backstage where it's quiet. Because I'm not into crowds, man. I'm not.
No, you'll like it. If you do come down, we'll make sure we take care of you, and it'll be a good day. But like any outdoor festival, pending.
And by the way, folks, just to let you know,
Billy Dick's barbecue while you're there.
Yeah, Billy Dick's. We have a good friend of ours catering backstage.
That's what I love about, like backstage. That's the cool thing. Here's the truth, folks. Throughout our lives, we've all thought that the rock and roll backstage scene was all about drugs, sex, and rock and roll, but it's not really. It's about a big white tent filled with water cases and probably a little bit of catering going on there. Where, you get some good chews.
We'll feed you in water. Yeah,
that's it. That's not much else. Other than
we have a good buddy catering. It's going to be awesome. And one of the things we tell the bands we're booking is you're going to have a hell of a meal backstage. So come and enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm going
definitely.
for.
Hey,
Brian,
who's back?
Brian, we haven't
Back again.
Hey, Buck.
a piece of gear in, and Brian's asking when dinner is.
Hey, Buck. Buck, I just want to say one thing. Have you noticed I have not fallen asleep once during this interview?
That's
hey,
awesome.
I'm impressed.
He actually drew open eyes on the back of his eyelids.
Oh, there you
He's
go.
sleeping right now.
Here's one for you, Biscuit. You can try this one. I have sleep apnea, so I pass out all the time too. And people ask me, "Are you sleeping?" I go, "No, I'm checking my eyelids for holes."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll use that.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay a royalties on that, do I?
Yeah. No royalties.
Okay.
No.
That's what we'll call the coffee table book.
Yeah.
That's a good
I'm
idea.
sure there'll be a new picture that says, "I'm just checking my eyelids for holes."
Yes, that's it. There's going to be somebody's going to steal it out there on internet land.
That'll happen within a week.
Yeah, sure. But Biscuit, Junior, you left there a bit. It's going to be a great day and a great group. And we just said to Bling, he's got to come down and join in on that joint.
There's catering, Bling. Hey, why didn't you tell me about this great roasting stuff there?
Yes.
Some of the best barbecued meat you'll have.
Barbecue.
Or smoke.
Yeah, smoker and all, man.
Well, it's always a good time with the boys. Like, as you can tell, they're very grounded and fun and whatever. So, but I see you guys froze for a moment there. What the hell's going on? Is there something in our area that's going on with our internet? Oh my God Almighty!
Oh no, that was in Barrie. So sorry, we're good here.
Okay, we'll get it solved. But anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time, as I say before I forget, because like I said, this is going to an audio version, guys, and we appreciate you guys supporting Indie Rock Radio and of course our show, and look forward to, of course, working with you guys. It's always fun, and we always have a lot of laughs. So I want to thank you before this computer does kick off, guys. It means a lot to Junior to have you on.
No, thank you.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure.
Really appreciate it.
So anyways, that's we want to thank you definitely from the bottom of our hearts here at indierockradio.ca. Send us your music here. I have to give out the information to the other bands and stuff too. So if you're interested in getting on the show here, or if you have some music you want to get some airplay with the station, here's the exact way to do it. Junior,
get all that information off to us. Follow all the rules at www.music rock radio indie rock radio
there we go. I was quizzing them.
You got
music.
I didn't realize.
Music at
I already sent the songs to rockradio.ca. I don't know.
Indie Rock Radio.
How about this? Okay. Just go to our fucking page, and all the rules are there. We support.
The contact us sheet is right there. Yeah. But don't send it through the contact us. You got to send it to music at indierockradio.ca and send it to us directly, MP3. We don't accept any third-party accounts like Spotify and all that stuff. It has to be sent either by WeTransfer or some sort of Google thing or whatever that we have direct access to, and we can transfer it right away.
Bling, on that, I noticed you played some videos there in between acts. Do you just pull that from the internet?
Yeah, definitely. Send us some video. If you have some videos made and stuff like that, send it off to us.
On YouTube right now called Hold Your Ground, if you go under our Barstool Confession page.
Okay.
And feel free to play that if you like it.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, next week on the show, Junior will play it. Guaranteed. Right?
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So real quick again, the band is called Barstool Confession. The boys are out of Barrie, Ontario, Canada, folks. So we're glad to have them on indie scene with Bling and Junior. So will you guys be well? And I'm kind of jealous. You got a bit of a sunburn there, Buck, but summer's.
That's just high blood pressure.
Yeah.
There you go. Too much
Great
fishing.
to see you guys too, by the way.
Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Good seeing you. Thank you very much. And we're going to close off the show here with a track from Barstool Confession here on indierockradio.ca. So only the Sunday people are going to get that song though tonight. Thursday crowd. Sorry. That's it.
And here I was all jacked.
There we go. So till next week, folks. Thank you very much for tuning into Indie Scene. Support us. Go check us out. Also listen to our live radio feed at www.indierockradio.ca. Check out Junior's show on Wednesday nights from
6 to 9.
6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, you can catch my show on Saturday nights from 9 p.m. till whenever the fuck I decide to stop doing things. It's called Time Well Wasted. Come check it out. And of course, you can check this show out unless you're listening in on Sunday night right now. Here we go. Check it out on Sunday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a repeat of this show here tonight. And if you're a visual person, you can watch this or you can listen to us on the radio from anywhere in the world. Till then, have yourself a wonderful time. God bless you all. And hey, stay safe out there. Till
Good
then,
night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, well,
goodbye, boys.
All
right. Here we go.
He'll actually out there.
I will somehow do my